Anyways, hi everybody. Oh, hello there, and welcome back.
Welcome back to the program, The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve, a la Brewski.
That's right.
Yeah.
How you doing, Brewski? How's Boston today? Beautiful, I assume, right?
Yeah, cold, breezy. We're about to get the rain from Hurricane Ian. So,
Oh, nice.
Happy fall, y'all.
yeah.
I'm
Hey,
sure you will
dude.
all persevere.
Oh, yeah.
What's the temp there right now in Boston?
It's about mid 50s.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's cold there today. It's hot in Seatown, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm warm here in California as well. I got my ball fan on. That's
Oh,
the
you do?
fan under my desk, sort of blowing up at me. So.
But are you wearing jeans?
No, I just put shorts on.
Oh,
I'm gonna be the
good.
classic anchor man that doesn't let you see below the waist. You don't want to know what's going on there.
Hopefully you don't have to get up for any demonstrations during the program.
Hey, you never know. I don't think I have any
I've got
cause
a
for-
lovely little satchel.
You might see my lovely satchel if I had cause for celebration, but I don't know if I do. I don't know.
Oh, Steve, you're always so negative, dude. We're just getting the show started, dude. It may be something worthy of celebration. No?
Well, that's the fun part about the show. There's some amount of things we, prep for it, and then other things that just sort of happen that you never quite see coming. So you never know.
Yeah.
By the way, I've started following some other podcast companies and whatnot on Twitter for our page. And someone the other day asked to all the podcasters out there, like, how many of you write out your entire show and are simply reading it back to the audience?
Hey.
And I was like, no real host would do that. But I start reading through it. I'm telling you, like 90% of these people that are responding, they write out their entire freaking show.
What do you mean, word for word, what they're going to say?
Yes. It's just them reading back to you. That's not a podcast. It's an ebook.
It's a news anchor.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I find it offensive.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. It was a large percentage.
Yes. Almost everyone has some sort of open that they read verbatim, but then most of the people were like, yeah, I write the entire show out and I just read it back.
Wow.
People. And I chimed in with like, you guys are all lame. Like you should be broadcasting. You should have some notes, but you should come on in and just talk to your audience, not read a freaking, prepared statement to them.
You got right involved, dude. Right involved in the battle of putting other podcasters down.
Yeah. You know,
he got vocal.
Exactly. That's what it's about. It's about getting vocal here on the Vocal Minority. You know what the greatest compliment I think we ever got back in the original radio days of the show? Somebody accused us of scripting out our entire 3 or 4 hour show. Do you remember this?
No.
Some guy sent us an email and he basically said, you guys are all like so funny and you got such good back and forth. There's no way you could just be doing this spontaneously. You have to be scripting this entire show. He thought everything was written out and there was 4 of us on that show. To which I said, first of all, like, I guess that's a big compliment that you think it's so good that we must have written all this out ahead of time. But
it's also a compliment that anyone thinks I can read that well.
Right? It would be a compliment to our acting, but that would take. You know how many hours it would take to write a 4-hour script? I mean, a movie's 2 hours and they spend months writing that. So every show, we're writing out a 4-hour script and then just acting it back and no one tripped on their lines or anything. So I took it as a compliment.
Insane.
But no, you're a moron if you think we've written all this stuff out in advance. And
I didn't even know it was an option, dude. I didn't even know that people did that, honestly.
Well, in the regular world of radio, where we have professionals, I don't think anyone does. I mean, maybe some news story, obviously, some short little thing.
Hey, dude, I remember when I first started working overnights in radio that I would write down my break for maybe, I don't know, maybe the first 2 weeks I would write my breakdown.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were doing, 9-second breaks.
Right.
It was just real quick shit. I mean, I wasn't writing a ton of stuff, just and it was more bullet points that I didn't want to forget. Right. But I just can't imagine that.
It's just insincere, right, Brewski?
Well, yeah, because so the best advice I ever got as far as interviews went was from a host I worked with in Seattle, who said, "Don't write out questions, just write out bullet points and make it conversational."
Yes.
It's the best advice you can have as an interviewer, and you'll find that the interviewers you listen to that you enjoy, like oftentimes the interview goes in a whole different place than it was anticipated to do, and that's usually makes it a better interview.
Yep.
My wife, Rachel, she's an attorney. She does a lot of depositions.
Yeah.
So she has to go in and basically interview people, right? and get the most information out of them that she can. And so she writes stuff down. But I told her years ago, I was like, why do you not treat this like a radio interview? Like, you have all these points that you're going to hit. And then if something else were to come up in an answer, you just skip right over and go to your next bullet point. But you could pull so much more information out of them if you just listen to them, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And base it all off that. And she started doing that, and it's made her such I mean, people really look up to her in that world, and they always tell her, like, you're so good on depositions.
Nice.
And that's what she attributes it to. Like, why would you write all that down?
Yeah.
It's a conversation at that point.
Right.
And also, you might actually get stuff out of people that they ordinarily wouldn't have shared because
100%.
they feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you're so focused on your list, you're going to, like Nick said, you're going to miss an obvious follow-up question. All right, whose noise was that?
That was mine.
Fuck.
This is my
Reynolds
new
told me to
laptop.
turn my noise off. And now you got your alerts on.
Hey, dude, this is my new laptop I got. I apologize. I don't know what's notifying. It's off.
Tacky.
It's off.
Now, if we wrote this out, do you think we would have done that, people? So,
Yeah, just to keep people guessing.
Right.
Duh.
Exactly. That's how you throw them off, you know.
I know Brewski's not a big Stern fan, but as Stern's gotten older, his interviews have become so much better than even back in the day when people used to say, like, he's a great interviewer. He's become so much better and refined, like in the last 5 years, especially, that I'm addicted to his interviews. And that's exactly the way he interviews, dude. You know, it's just a conversation.
Larry King always used to say that, you know, when a guest comes on, I don't want to read your book or I don't want to see your movie ahead of time. I want to just talk to you about it. And if I've seen it or read it, then I'm going to have some sort of contrived questions. And so
I think he just didn't want to read. That's what that was. He was just being lazy.
That is a good lazy broadcaster's approach too, I suppose. But there's some truth.
San Antonio, you're on the air.
Right. I always jot down some notes or questions I want to make sure I get to, but I don't do them in a scripted sort of way. And I think one of my all-time favorite interviews we ever did was Anthony Michael Hall, you know, from Rat Pack 80s stuff.
I was listening to that interview the other day, dude. We should post that interview on our podcast because it was a great interview and he totally loosened up.
Well, and we didn't know we were going to talk to him that day. Like, he was supposed to be on, we were doing Seattle radio, and somebody called us and basically said, like, he's got an opening in his schedule, like right now. Like, do you want to talk to him right now? So we had no chance to prep anything. And so we just put him on the air live. And I mean, it was a great conversation because it just turned into a conversation. So,
especially for a guy like that who, like, you know, when they go into the press day where it's just like 5 minutes each radio station and it's all the same fucking questions of like, you know, this, and they, you know, you want to blow your head off, dude. So to just get an interview with a good conversation would be heaven sent. And
I wonder if Anthony Michael Hall ever smelled Molly Ringwald's chair like our own Brewski had.
True story,
was at a radio station interviewing her.
I didn't just smell her chair. I actually put my cheek down on the chair and I could feel the warmth. I could feel the warmth. I mean, she was sitting there for like 90 minutes talking to me. So,
dude, you got to first base with Molly Ringwald. That's basically how I translated that.
Did you see the picture of me with her afterwards?
I have seen it, and she was looking good. And that wasn't even in like the 80s or anything. That was
but
early 2000s.
You didn't see my right hand.
Ah, exactly.
I was creeping it down, creeping it down from her hip down just a little bit, you know.
Oh, you are such a fucking pervert, dude.
I mean, when's the next time I'm going to have that opportunity?
When's the next time I'll have to physically assault and rape Molly Ringwald on any level?
Hey, you got to seize the day, right?
Yeah.
Are we recording yet? We didn't start, did we?
I don't think so. We wouldn't be talking like this on the interwebs.
Was this in the script? Our lawyer didn't approve that.
Brewski's got a lot of great stories from radio days, dude.
Oh,
yeah.
We'll have to get into more of those one day. But yeah, we should stick that interview up on our podcast because he seemed like a cool guy.
Yeah, if you know where it is, I have every old recording of us, but I only have it listed by date. So I have no idea what's on any of them. You know,
and they're all on CDs, so yeah.
First ones are on vinyl.
Go through those.
So long
they're not reel to reel.
No, All right. So, anyways, yeah, we're back, everyone. It's the vocal minority with Nick and Steve. I'm Steve. Nick's over there. That's Brewski, our producer, sidekick extraordinaire. Yeah, we're worldwide. We're on the old social media. That's been fun. We've got some comments and other things to read that we'll get to at some point here. But please do find us on there. We're on all the major ones and help share this stuff. Social media continues to a bit of explode for us. I mean, not in like the millions or anything, but we got some thousands going. And those of you discovering that now need to share it for us.
Yes,
You're the
please.
cool kid. Were any of you ever the first to discover, a band or something like that in your high school or whatever it was?
Yes.
Yeah, who was it?
Yeah. Modest Mouse.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
didn't they discover themselves in your high school? Didn't you go to high school?
I
with
didn't
the
go to
Modest
high
Mouse guys?
school. They went to Issaquah High, and it was actually, I mean, it was senior year, I guess. But I was working with the bass player at a hamburger joint,
Oh,
so
and
I
he clued you in?
knew of them through him, and then just started going to watch him play all the time, and going down to Portland all the time to go see him play. So I was in on the early side of that and got some really cool access because they were just buddies, at the time. And then kind of started to lose contact, and then just kind of like a Facebook thing. But then when they blew up and started becoming mainstream, I was like, oh, it was a proud moment, right?
Sure.
But
We play
also,
Modest
I was
Mouse
like,
on our radio station that we work at nowadays. Is that weird?
it is weird, dude. Yeah, it is weird. Eric Judy is the guy that I was good friends with, and he was the bass player for Modest Mouse. And I stopped by a garage sale maybe 4 years ago in West Seattle, and I walk up and he's standing there. I'm at his house,
Oh,
and I hadn't seen him in all those years, dude. And he knows I'm a big fan, and he's not in the band anymore. But he gave me a bunch of old pressed vinyl that's never been opened of all their early stuff, and was like, hey, thanks for stopping by. It was fun to see him. So yeah, that was my biggest early side moment.
yeah. We play Fuel on our station too, and the drummer for my old band is the drummer for Fuel nowadays.
What's his name?
Boone. Well, Boone Gegenheimer when I knew him. Now he goes by Shannon Boone because his name is actually Boone Shannon Gegenheimer. So he switched it to Shannon Boone. So yeah, he plays with Fuel and Puddle of Mud. He is not their original drummer for either band, but it's one of those they lost the drummer and hired someone, and so he's their drummer. So it's always cool when we play him on the radio. You got that little connection. But for me, Pearl Jam, I discovered them before anyone else in my little small hometown of Chelsea, Michigan. And as you guys know, Pearl Jam is one of my favorite bands. So the first time I ever heard them was on the Headbangers Ball for some reason. Saturday nights with Ricky Rackman on MTV.
Yeah.
And the end of one of the shows, he was just like, hey, there's this new band that people are starting to talk about. It's not really like Headbangers Ball metal, but I'm digging it. So this is a band called Pearl Jam with Alive. And I fell in love with the song. And I went
right
out
away.
Oh, yeah. I found a Pearl Jam hat at some record store in the bigger city. And I was running around my small town just telling everyone, fucking Pearl Jam, man. This is the band. And at first, everyone looked at me sideways, but then it all came across.
I did.
Was known as the Pearl Jam man for many years.
It's a good one. It's a good one. And I tell you what, dude, I wish both of you guys. Steve got here rather quickly, but Brewski, when did you first come to Seattle?
Not till 98.
98. Okay.
That's when I got there.
You guys were both there when things were still blowing up in Seattle. With
a little bit of the tail end. I got a little grief for showing up in the late 90s because that's when Seattle, all the carpetbaggers or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Up there.
Yeah.
So the beginning of the 90s, well, when I was in high school, I graduated in 94. So, in 1990, 1991, all that shit was blowing up downtown.
I bet.
And it was such a cool, my wife and I talk about that all the time. It was such a cool thing to fucking witness the birth of a new genre of music.
Did you get it though? Or did you just think like, these are local bands, that's why everyone must love them so much? Or did you get a sense that this was something bigger?
It was vibrant. It was magic. Like it was a feeling for sure.
Yeah.
And if you were in the scene at all, going into Seattle to great live music venues,
the off ramp,
the Velvet Elvis was a great place to go.
Uncle Rocky's.
What about the Color Box? Because I got to play at the Color Box once, and I thought that was so cool.
Was it the Color Box or the Show Box?
I thought it was the Color Box.
The Show Box.
Yeah, it must have been the Show Box.
Because I have had the word Color Box in my memory for eons. Are you sure about that?
Yeah, because Showbox actually has two locations. One by by the market, and then one also down by Safeco Field. That's actually the old Premier. It's called Showbox Sodo.
I
And then
know
there's
I
Showbox
know
at
the
the
main
market.
Showbox, but I don't
It's
know.
by Pike Place Market and by
Yeah,
Johnny
look it up.
Rockets.
You know what? There was a lot going on back then, so it could be. But Showbox was the main one, and the Crocodile's always been a fun place to go see shows. Seattle's a
It
great
was the
place for
color
music.
box. I was right. Yeah, I'm looking at
Where
it
was
right now online.
where was the color box?
I don't remember exactly. It was somewhere
No,
down
the
Pioneer
address.
Square, and
Oh,
but it
near
was
Pine.
sold. I don't have, I can't pull it off right
That's
now.
fine.
But I'm just saying, like everyone told me when I got there that was one of the
Sure.
clubs that they all played at, and I got to play on
Okay.
like a sold out Saturday night.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, it was somewhere
Right,
around Pioneer Square. I don't know.
right when you got to town, you got that.
Yeah, I joined a band right away. My brother-in-law had been playing in one, and they needed a guitar player, and I figured why not. And we didn't last more than a few months, but we played a Saturday night at the Color Box, and it was a packed house, and that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's real cool, dude. It
I
was
graced the stage that Nirvana and Soundgarden and all the big ones did. So.
my
Okay.
my. Oh, go
Okay
ahead.
Hotel. Okay Hotel was one of my favorite places.
Yes, great
Yeah.
place to watch.
I loved the but then that got destroyed by the earthquake. Remember the earthquake was in 2001.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah, I was working
The
in Belltown
Sailors
at the
Club
time.
was a great place to go see a show.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, there was just so much going on. So it's cool that you got to play in one of them. I remember being at a show called Drop in the Park for Pearl Jam.
Mm.
And the t-shirts were, I'm sure you've seen the t-shirts of a guy just sitting like taking a dump out in the middle of a park.
Yes.
And
which is what happens in downtown Seattle all the time now.
Yeah, now it's just commonplace, dude. People are shitting everywhere. I walked out of a Subway restaurant and had just eaten a nice steak and cheese.
Oh.
And I walk out and I like come around the side door and there's a guy leaning, his back up against the wall, just dropping a sloppy shit.
Wow.
Not a hard shit, just sloppy right there. And I almost threw up.
Would it have been better if it was a solid bowel movement?
Yes, dude. I mean, it was splatting on the pavement and, he had nothing to wipe. It was not a great scene.
Wow. Well, that sounds awesome.
Steve, tell us about something that really sounds awesome. Speaking of you playing in bands, and you got some news from an old bandmate recently.
Oh, we'll see what happens with it.
Dude, come on.
Yeah.
It's a proud Papa moment, dude. Come on, let's talk about it a little bit. Your old band is now a new band, and they're doing well, right?
Oh, kind of, yeah. So I used to play in a band called South Normal. You can look them up on YouTube, Google, and all that kind of stuff. I was in the band in the early 90s, and it was awesome. It was a phenomenal band, and it meant a lot to me. But the old dynamic of, life on the road, and you spend all your time with the same guys, and there's a reason every, rock star is banging chicks and doing blow. Like, it's a weird lifestyle out there. And I eventually realized I didn't want that life. I wanted a wife and kids and a home and stability. And Lars Ulrich, one time, the drummer for Metallica, he was talking about life on the road. And he said that for the 2 hours a day you're up there on stage, it's all worth it. But the other 22 hours a day, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Because you're just isolated and in hotel rooms and vans and playing and you're just traveling. So I realized the band wasn't what I wanted to do. And I ended up quitting. But we were a really phenomenal band. And the five of us together were really something kind of cool and special. And I've had so much guilt that I feel like I derailed that band by leaving. They continued on after me and they wrote some really great songs, but they never got a big record deal and never took off. And but that band meant everything to me, and it was tough to move on. And I went to radio school, and then I moved to Seattle, and life went on. But so one of the key guys, the lead singer, who was also main songwriter and guitar player, he's in a new band now called Van Go-Go. You should check them out as well. They're pretty cool. We've been playing them as well on our local radio station. So the singer reached out to me because we're still friends. I mean, this dude and I, we went to high school together along with Boone, who we were talking about earlier. We were all in the same grade, all buddies. And they're doing a new band and they're heading out on the road in theory next summer. They want to get out and do some tour dates. And he sent me a note, checking in on me because all my friends on Facebook are aware of the shit I've been through in these past few months. But then he said, like, we're going to go out on tour next year and we're going to come through your area. And I want you to get up on stage and play a couple of songs with us.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean,
Nice.
that's applause worthy,
That's
dude.
exciting.
That's awesome.
It is exciting. I haven't performed live in a long time, and my guitar playing has come and gone over the years. But I play guitar more when I'm stressed out or depressed. So right now, I'm a really fucking good guitar player. So hopefully, I stay miserable until next summer when they show up, and then I'll be the Eddie Van Harness of.
Well,
you,
you're
one
gonna have to
year.
you're gonna have to
go
have the
ahead,
kids
Bruce.
there.
What's
You're
that?
gonna have to have the kids there.
Yeah, the kids definitely need to see me. You
Yeah.
guys, I mean, and the ironic thing is my ex, who is the cause of all this misery, she made me promise her that before I died, I would get back on stage just one time at least, because she just wanted to see me up on stage, playing electric guitar and all that. And so, sorry, you're gonna miss it out, but hopefully it happens. Even if it doesn't happen, the fact that he would even ask me means a lot. So,
Sure.
so that's cool.
For
So we'll
sure.
see. We'll see. Get to relive
She's
my
gonna
glory days.
ask you, dude. Yeah, I'm manifesting it for you. I think it's gonna be good for you.
Well, I appreciate that. So I'll stay depressed and stay practicing the guitar all the time. So.
What, you just been practicing like crazy? Because I know when you first kind of started, well, when you were going through your divorce, you kind of picked the guitar up again and you kept playing it a little bit into your relationship, but then what? You put it down, got busy.
That's exactly it. It's guitar is either what you do for a living or it's a hobby. And when times are good and I'm in a relationship and you're always hanging out with that person or doing things, so it gets harder to play as often. So I during the divorce and right after, I got back into it. I got really good, started getting my chops back, and then it did fade a little over the last 2 years. And guitar for me is something that is therapeutic in two ways. One, you kind of have to have a singular focus while you're playing. So you're not drifting, thinking about everything else going wrong in your life.
Sure.
But it also is a great way to channel emotion. You can play a happy song, a sad song. You can fucking rock that thing out. And the feeling of being on stage, a therapist taught me years ago that once you've discovered a feeling in your brain, it can never be taken away. You can always go back to that. And the feeling of being live on stage in front of a sold out crowd and just generating that music that hits the audience and they cheer and they send the energy back to you. I mean, there's a tangible thing going on when you're performing live.
I can't even imagine it, dude. That's you know what? If I had any talent as a musician, that would be a dream to be able to do that. Because I've had the experience from me to the artist, and I understand how powerful it is, and I can't imagine being on the other end of that. Like people singing your fucking lyrics at a live show gets my boner hard. I mean, it really does. Like, that would be incredible.
Yeah. No, people cheering, people singing it back to you. You hit the chord on the guitar and people cheer. Like, it's magic. It's crazy magic. So when I play guitar nowadays, I'm able to sort of tap into what that kind of felt like, and it's beyond, cathartic and therapeutic. So I've been playing a lot. And I don't have the pressure anymore to like write the next great song, so I can just goof around. And I've actually found that it's easier to come up with stuff when you don't put so much pressure on.
Yeah, so, for sure. When you don't have to spit something out, when you're just kind of jamming around. Yeah.
Well, anytime you bring a song into the band, there's some jerk is that sounds like Zeppelin or that sounds like Pearl Jazz. So when you don't have that filter, that criticism, and you do it to yourself a lot too. Like, wait a minute, is that Zeppelin I'm playing really? Did I rewrite a Beatles song? Like. So when you can just put all that bullshit out of your head and just play music and just create sounds and make the guitar talk and all that stuff. It's by the way, when the dating expert told me to put on my profile, like, what song are you working on right now? Are you working on Led Zeppelin, Stairway to I hate that. I have this. I've given the same speech to every woman who has ever asked me to play guitar for them. I tell them, yes, I'll play guitar for you, but I don't take requests. I'm not a fucking karaoke machine, I don't know every song ever written. And if I did, I wouldn't sit here and play them for you. It's ridiculous. Like, do you want to hear the guitar talk? Because that's what I can make it do. That's what I'll do for you, okay?
It's similar to people coming up to the three of us, and we've all had it at remotes or wherever, like, hey, talking your radio voice, talking your radio voice, like people wanting you to entertain for them. Like, come on.
Absolutely. I just had that happen at the bank. The teller was like, do the radio voice for us. I'm like, you want a weather report? Like, what? And I'm talking right now. Like, this is my voice, Yeah. It's insulting to me that, I know I may be a little more energetic on air or something, but it's my voice. I'm not doing on radio here.
Yeah. Hey, how are you? What's going on?
So
Dude, it brings up something that I had on my list. I don't know if we're ready to get into anything here or not, but it brings
Free
up
flowing,
something that I
baby.
had on my list that I thought, you know what? I should talk to the guys about this because this came from something stupid. Do you guys ever watch Shark Tank?
Oh yeah, a
Oh,
lot.
you do?
Actually,
Okay.
I used to watch it a lot, and then the more I got into business ownership and stuff,
Yeah.
it became stressful to watch Shark
Sure.
Tank.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
haven't
Hearing
watched it in
all
a
the
little while.
numbers. And,
Exactly, it's like
yeah.
work on TV. So, but no, big Shark Tank fan.
So there was something on there this past weekend that I had no interest in, but the concept behind it I found curious and it kind of made me think a little bit. This couple came up with basically it's a box you buy with a picture of a character that they've created, Wooly the werewolf, or just all these names, and they teach you how to crochet this animal.
Oh,
I
okay.
was like, that seems like kind of a tight knit, no pun intended, community that's gonna buy that, right? Like that's not.
A
They
mass
were
market
selling.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they sold like $5 million over the last 2 years of these things, and their whole concept is what got me because it was like you're never too old to stop learning something new. And therapists will often talk about the fact that if you can continue to learn new things in life, like that's where you find your self-confidence and your enjoyment from life, that like you're living, right, is when you're doing new things.
Yeah, if you're an 85-year-old woman, yeah. Crocheting, dude.
Yeah,
In all seriousness, I know a lot of people that crochet. I don't know why it's so big, but it is.
is it a
Well, I
I
mean-
thought
Michigan
they already
thing?
had stencils. I thought that was the whole point. My grandma used to have one of those. It was a flower basket looking thing, and so
Yes.
what did they?
But this was just a kit. But that's fuck crocheting, dude. This is my thought and
Okay.
my question. I started thinking to myself, like, there's plenty of things that I would love to do that I've oftentimes, at least in my head, said like, too fucking old to learn how to do that, dude. Like, I'm not gonna. I've wanted to take singing lessons for years, and have like in the last 5 or 6 years, my niece has been wanting to take singing lessons. So it got me thinking again, like I should just go take them. But there's something inside me that's tells me you're too fucking old. You're gonna fail. You're gonna be terrible. So what are all these things that we can come up with in life that are things to try that we can actually do? Who knows, dude? Sky's the limit. You just got to go out and try them. So I'm going to make a commitment that I'm going to start fucking trying some new shit. And I think you
Crocheting?
guys should do the same thing, dude.
Are
Huh?
you gonna
No,
crochet?
fuck crocheting, dude.
Okay. I don't know if I need
Stop
an
talking about
intervention for you
crocheting.
here. Listen,
Yeah,
I have a couple of things here. First of all, I was talking to somebody who the other day must have been in their like 60s or something, and the woman asked me like, "How old are you?" And I said, "I'm 46," and she said, "Oh, to be 46 again, you're so young. You have a whole life ahead of you." And I was just like, "Wow, like I don't look at it that way at all. I feel like I'm old, but." It's really true that we are kind of in the prime of our lives, and there are all sorts of people that either start new careers now. The definition of a midlife crisis, right, is starting some crazy thing. I'm going to go learn how to hang glide or whatever. So
I can't even fathom it. I cannot even fathom having to change direction, like pivoting on my career at this point.
yeah,
Like
it's
I'm
daunting,
stuck.
but all sorts
This
of people
is
do
what
it,
I'm
man.
doing.
Listen,
So
you have
fucking
46
daunting.
years under your belt, but the first 10, whoever remembers, and even the first 20, you were just formative years. So you really have 20 years of adulthood under your belt. So in another 20, you're going to be 66. You've got an entire the life you have lived as an adult, you've got the equal amount of time ahead of you. So
That's
anything that
trippy to
you
think
started
about.
in your 20s and fostered into your 30s and 40s, there's no reason you can't start something in your 40s and continue in your 50s and 60s. So
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
these are new realizations on my part, because as we've started this talk show back and other things, I've been like, holy crap, I can't reinvent stuff at this point, or the chance to have a talk show. I thought that was done and over, but it's not. I'm 46. Like most talk show hosts are in their 40s and 50s when they're starting their careers.
Here's the thing that I think made it easier when we were younger, that we had so fucking little to lose.
Sure.
Right.
And a lot of free time and no real obligations in the world.
Yeah. I mean, all of that stuff. But now it's like, oh, well, what would I do with this? We've molded these lives around us of responsibilities and people we have to take care of. So it gets it gets incrementally harder, I think, the older you get. But
psychologically, my therapist is probably, I've had a lot over my life, and the one I'm with right now, Misty, which sounds
yeah,
like she's a stripper, but she's phenomenal, and she started her career like 5 or 6 years ago. She did a whole other career. I don't remember what it was, but she reinvented herself, and she's got to be older than us, not much, but same thing. Like, she was into her 40s and started an entirely new career, and she's great at it and doing, making a good living at it. So
what about you, Brewski?
Bruce is over 50, so he's fucked. So.
I'm 51, soon to be 52. So yeah, but I sometimes think about that same thing too, as far as what have I done with my life, and did I make right choices, and what can I do going forward? I mean, I'm in the middle right now. Well, not 85 to 90% way through my first detective novel.
Nice.
I'm 22
That's
chapters.
fucking cool. I like that a whole bunch, dude. Let's put on a little bit of music for you.
22 chapters in.
That's good drum beat.
That's your
22 chapters
theme, dude.
Come on. Yeah. So I'm 22 chapters in, and I'm in the home stretch. It's been about 3 years, and it's been a lot of work. And then I still have to edit before I even submit it to a book company. But
what about giving it to a buddy as a first read, dude? Have you had anyone read any of it for you?
Yeah, my sister a little bit, and I sent some to a friend of mine, but she's more into like Jane Austen stuff. So
I'm sorry. When you said you were starting your first mystery novel, or what'd you say, murder novel?
Detective, dude.
I thought you meant you were reading your first one. You're writing one?
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Come on.
Oh, now you are a champion.
I got a friend locally here, Brad, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
Who's writing a book. And that guy's like, in his late 60s, but he's telling me about all these resources he has and whatnot. So I'll connect the two of you together, Brewski.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So it's like I said, it's been 3 years, going on 4, but I'm 90% of the way through. I'm in the home stretch.
Well, that's awesome. And now you have a platform to be promoting your book. So
yeah.
How did that come about? Like, do you have an idea and then you just started vetting it out, or?
Well, actually, I have a Facebook page devoted to it. I haven't sent it out to a lot of people.
Do you have a pen name or something? How can we find you? Or do you want anyone to find you?
It's just going to be my real name, Jason Fisher. And on Facebook, the name of the book is called Grungy Murder.
Grungy Murder, huh?
Yeah,
that's a Seattle reference.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, nice. Okay,
exactly.
Dude,
so it starts
exciting,
it starts in Boston, goes into Europe, because it's about a band, and the singer dies. Well, he's murdered, and so there's a whole big story that's involved with my detective and the manager of the band and that sort of thing. And so
I think that's phenomenal.
I do too. Brewski, you mentioned this to me a little bit last time I was in Boston when I was visiting.
Yeah.
You weren't nearing the end then. You've been busy then.
Yeah. Well, whenever I'm not working, I make myself sit down and I have a playlist on YouTube that's kind of a lot of Seattle and grunge music and that sort of thing. And I play that, and then I kind of get into a different world, and that kind of helps me write the story. I'm in amongst that world and not where I am currently in the physical.
I'm stoked on it, dude. I'm real excited for it, and I'll wait till you release it, dude. But I'm excited to read it. I think there's
a slight connection, character connection with you, Nick.
Oh, in the book?
Oh boy, is he the murderer?
No, he is not. He's not. No, but there's a character that the singer, my singer Scotty, goes to see an attorney.
Yeah.
And the attorney that's representing him, her name is Rachel.
Oh, that's cool. Right on. Hey, Nick, let me ask you this question. What's the vibe in Seattle nowadays? Brewski, used the word grunge there. When I showed up in 98, if you used the word grunge, they would, hog tie you and put you on a, Greyhound back east. They hated the word, in other words.
No, I think that it has aged enough now that it's not so, passe.
I see.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. To be honest with you, since pandemic has happened, I haven't spent a lot of time in the city, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The city got wicked for a while, for sure. They're starting to clean things up over there, but I've been to a few shows. I guess I'm among people our age. You could talk about it being grunge. I mean, it's a genre of music, dude.
Yeah.
You know,
Become a badge of honor finally. Accepted
Yeah.
genre. All right.
yeah, I think
you
so.
know, by the way, I was not to promote other shows, but I
Depends what show it is. Go ahead.
well, I listen to Lithium on
Yeah.
satellite radio quite a bit.
It's a great
and-
channel.
Well, they actually have a show called Soundtracking the 90s.
Mhm.
And the host of the show actually, because this year is the 30th anniversary of the movie Singles.
Nice.
Yes,
My favorites.
yes.
I'll be
And
watching
she-
that again soon, I assume.
And she
Show us
talks,
every new girl.
You're
well,
open.
she talks to Cameron Crowe.
Beautiful. You know, I'm a Cameron Crowe guy, dude.
Yeah, and she talks to Kira Sedgwick.
Oh, very
and-
nice.
And they play some of the bands that are in there. And actually Cameron Crowe suggests a song that didn't quite get on the single soundtrack that they wanted on there. And it's actually a really wicked song. I dig it quite a bit. So you might give it a listen. And you know,
Who's the band?
oh, geez, you're gonna put me on the spot.
Oh, if you don't know, you don't know.
Go Google
Yeah.
it.
I was-
I
I
will
was
stand
driving when
by-
I heard it, so
I will stand by this to the day I die, unless somebody manages to outdo this. But the greatest movie soundtrack ever, obviously.
Girls just want to have fun.
Yeah. Yes. No. Yeah. No. The
I mean,
fucking
that's a
single
good one, but-
soundtrack is the
Yeah.
greatest movie soundtrack ever. Yeah,
It's
Pearl
a
Jam,
great soundtrack.
Soundgarden, Mother Love Bone. Yeah, I mean all the greats and some great versions. I mean, Chris Cornell acoustic solo on there. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Singles
No,
a
it
classic.
is. It's an incredible soundtrack.
of course Mudhoney.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not a big Mudhoney fan. That's the one song I always skipped on that soundtrack, and I know
Touch Me,
people
I'm
in
Sick?
Seattle are pissed about
Well, Overblown is my
that.
favorite.
It wasn't
song.
Touch Me on Dick though. It was, or no,
was
no, that's
called-
not the one that was on there.
The original song of this is "Touch Me, I'm Sick," but "Overblown" is the song that's by Mudhoney. Which I wanted to hear Mudhoney play. I went and saw Mudhoney with Nick and Rachel in
Oh, wow.
Seattle, and I kept wanting them to play "Overblown," and Nick and I was standing in the crowd screaming "Overblown, play Overblown," and they didn't
He
do
was
it.
not listening.
No.
He was
Mark
not
Arm, how
listening.
dare you not play our requests?
I used to wear in high school as well with my Pearl Jam hat. I wore a Citizen Dick T-shirt that was bootlegged from the streets of Seattle that my brother-in-law had sent me, and he told me like everyone around here thinks it's kind of poser to wear this, but I was in the Midwest and I had a Citizen Dick shirt, which is the fictitious band from Singles that had the guys from Pearl Jam in it. So
Oh, I actually have a Citizen Dick T-shirt here.
nice.
Oh, you do? I was
Yeah,
going to tell Harness that'd be worth some money these days.
No.
Old band shirts are going crazy in price.
Oh no,
speaking of.
this is a repop someone made a few
Uh-huh.
years ago, and I bought it for myself. But
Uh,
I have it here at the house. It's not original. I wish it were original.
yeah,
Yeah.
mine was. I used to wear it when I played with South Normal a lot, and that thing fell apart years ago. But yeah. Speaking of Singles and my dating life and all that, should we start to transition here?
yeah.
So yeah, Singles is a great dating movie for any of you guys out there. It's a good one to show on one of those first few dates, and then you're sitting on the couch and all that. So it all works out nicely. But yeah, okay. So I've got some internet dating updates for y'alls.
Much
First of
to
all,
my dismay.
we'll see. We'll get there. First of all, I had the craziest experience. Brewski, let me see if you can explain this, if you know why.
Okay.
I'm on a couple of different apps, but Bumble is one of the main ones, and we've talked about that. Now, I live in this small little town of South Lake Tahoe, California. I mean, this town has maybe 20,000 people in it. There's some high schools in major cities that have like, almost that many people. So when I'm on these dating apps, I maybe get a like from Bumble where a woman sees me and reaches out to say she likes me. Maybe that happens once, I don't know, every other week or something, like even once a month. Like it's pretty fucking rare. And like the dating expert was telling us, a lot of these women on dating apps, they're waiting for the guy to reach out to them first, which I get. So it's a really small percentage of women that are reaching out to the men first. And it's once in a blue moon for me. I went to San Francisco this past weekend for my son's 13th birthday. Happy birthday. You better not be listening to this. And I'm down there. We're at an amusement park. So when we're standing in lines, I'm taking out my phone and flipping through various stuff. And like I go to my Bumble app, and all of a sudden it's like, you've got 4 new likes. I'm like, 4 new likes? Like, that's crazy. And I put it down. I go back like an hour later. It's like, you have 12 new likes.
Champion!
An hour later, I have 20 new likes. 20.
Champion!
And I'm thinking, like, did I get better looking overnight? Like, what the fuck? Brewski, do you know what it is?
It's the place where you were geographically.
Yes. Bumble
San
works on
Francisco.
geography.
Exactly.
So I realized this small town I'm dating in, man, if I lived in a city, I would be getting ass like a toilet seat, apparently.
Yeah.
Because, man, women were hitting me up left and right, and that wasn't even me reaching out to them. So that was interesting. So I don't know. Dating in a small town sucks, is what I've just realized.
I had better luck dating in Seattle than I do here.
And
And
the West Coast, East Coast thing, or what?
Well, I mean, it depends. Like if I'm in a bar and I'm drinking, then the accent pulls ladies in.
Where did that just come from? I'm hearing an echo. It just all of a sudden.
Me too.
Nick, I think it's you.
I don't know what it would be.
Hello. It just went away.
It went away. Okay, good. But I was hearing myself. But anyway, but even on the internet where they can't hear me speak or anything like that, I had much better luck. I don't know what it was in Seattle than I do here.
So you're a Boston 6 and a Seattle 9? Is that what it is?
Or maybe I'm more interesting.
No, dude, I'll tell you what it is. I know exactly what it is. Women fucking love accents. So you've got that Bostonian accent. So when you go to the West Coast, you're special. You stand out.
But
women love accents. So in Boston, you're just a regular Joe.
But that doesn't mean anything as far as internet goes, because they can't hear me speak.
Maybe they just know you're from Boston. You look like you have an accent,
I know, but
what are you talking about, dude? Steve, this is my theory.
Yeah.
If you go out and pretend to have an accent, will you see if you can pick someone up? Please, in a bar,
dude. If I was a good enough actor, I guarantee you that would work, because women fucking love accents. I think more than they love tall guys. You could be 4'9", and if you had any foreign accent, you get laid. If you're in America, probably your home country, no.
I have a question for Steve. Tell me, is Lake Tahoe considered a conservative town?
That's a great question. So we're California, we're in the mountains, so there's plenty of lefty liberals around here, and they probably are more common out in the street. Like that's who you're going to run into around town. But Tahoe is also a very wealthy area. So wherever there's wealth, there's lots of conservatives. So I would tell you that probably conservatives run the town, but liberals run around the town.
Well, because obviously if you're in San Francisco, sure, there's money there, but that's a liberal town.
Yeah.
You have that look about you, like you're a liberal guy and that sort of thing.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very judgmental of you, but I'll take it.
Why would you say that?
Just kind of like his general kind of way he looks, like with his beard and his glasses and that sort of thing. It's kind of what people might think. Okay, that. If you had to look at somebody and say, okay, that guy's conservative or that guy's considered liberal. Like if I looked at Dan Stewart,
I thought about that.
If I looked at Dan Stewart, this is a friend of Nick's, I would immediately say that guy's conservative.
Why? He's just a white guy.
It's the way he dresses. It's the way he carries himself.
I get it. I mean, I understand.
Dan
Stewart
conservative?
Is not
I've never
conservative. No, he's not. Which is an anomaly, I suppose. But I mean, there are exceptions to the rule, but I understand why you would say that. I mean, Dan wears a lot of clothing that come from free TV, stations and radio stations. He wears slip-on shoes of the Morel fashion, that most Trumpers like to wear.
He also works in sales, and most salespeople I've ever known in radio are always conservative folks, especially sales managers. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't mean to derail you, but
this is good insight. I appreciate it. I'm glad I look liberal.
You look very liberal, Steve.
I take it as a compliment. You look very liberal today. Very progressive.
Do I look liberal, Brewski?
Yes.
I do. What is it for me?
Is comically, like, of course you do.
My cheekbones, or
you look like a nice guy, so therefore,
exactly. You just have you have a very likable face, big smile at all times. You're actually in a good mood most of the time, and conservatives are pissy.
No, you're right. I would look at you and think you're liberal too. So I get what you're saying. It just interests me how people see different things. So
I'll tell you this: most conservatives are nothing but red asses. That's all they are. They're red asses.
I don't know what that is.
Like baboon butt? What do you mean?
Yeah. So think about how that would. A red ass is somebody that's what they call in Boston. That's what they call somebody
Oh.
that's always all like looking grumpy and pissed off and angry. That guy's a fucking red ass. You know,
That's good. We're learning Boston lingo, Nick.
Yeah,
Use it around
I'm going to start
Seattle.
using that one
no,
for
but,
sure.
but yeah, and we all know people like that are just always pissed off,
Sure.
or they look pissed off at all times. And you know what? That they're a red ass, no matter what.
You've learned something.
Yes, they are.
Hey,
Yeah.
speaking of terms, let me throw a term by you here, Brewski, and see if you know. So continuing on my internet dating sagas, first of all, big city, much better. But I got a message this week, and Nick I had shared this with, so let me just read it to you.
Okay.
First of all, this is in response to that fucking picture of me showing my teeth that just, the dating expert told me to put up there. I'm getting all sorts of feedback on it
It's
now.
working, dude.
Yeah. So this woman who looked, I don't know, late 20s, early 30s, nothing too special, but she sends me a message based on that picture and says, "Hey, handsome, do you need my service? I'm down for a hookup." And I write back and I say, I'm thinking like service, like you're going to clean my gutters or
No.
my lawn. So I'm like, LOL, your service? Do you take credit cards? And she says, do you know what that means? And I said, no, I don't. So Brewski, she's offering service. What the fuck does that mean?
She wants to smoke your pole.
She
For free?
wants to smoke your pole. She's a prostitute.
Yes. She replied back and she said, I'm a prostitute. So apparently offering service means that she's a hooker and she was soliciting me on the internet.
Well, did she add?
I didn't ask for a menu.
But she didn't say ask you if you were generous, or did she say something like, I need some roses or anything like that?
No, honestly, now I'm thinking I probably should have continued this conversation just for the benefit of the show to get some prices. Well, I'm always curious what prices are. Like I would never, let me rephrase this. I was going to say I would never pay for sex. Well, let's be honest, all men pay for sex, dinner, movies, gifts, all that shit. So
but what they will say to you is that
I do not.
Any money exchanged is for time only. Anything that happens between us
that's the legalities. I see.
Yeah, exactly.
And Nick, of course, you've paid for sex. You've never treated Rachel to dinner or some nice gift. Like
I'm not currently paying for it.
Okay, you're permanently paying for it. When the ring goes on, it's a long-term payment plan.
Yeah, I suppose you're true. I mean, I'd pay in labor, I suppose. Yeah.
Right. So that was a new one. I've never been offered prostitution through any.
Oh, that's your first time?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been offered a few times.
Really?
One time. Okay. Here's you're gonna love this story. So the 7-Eleven by the Space Needle on Jenny Way.
I do. Yes.
So I go into the 7-Eleven. It's late night. I come out and I'm just like standing there and I'm eating a chipwich, just kind of looking around and that sort of thing.
Looking all Brewski sexy. Yeah.
I'm eating an ice cream sandwich inside 2 chocolate chip cookies. I mean, how sexy could I actually look? Right?
Yeah, that's pretty hot, man. All right.
And I look to my right towards that gas station that's there, and there's a payphone, and I see this chick wearing little tiny shorts and a little jacket, and she gives it a pinky wave.
Is that code? I don't know.
No, and I kind of look around and I point to myself like, me? And she nods her head, yes, right?
You want to bite of my chipwich?
Yeah, exactly, right. So we start talking, and then she says, "Hey, do you have a place we can go to around here?" I'm like, "Oh my god, this is fucking amazing! I can't believe this is hot chick." Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then we're walking towards where I'm staying at the time, and then she stops me, turns towards me.
Pause. Now you're walking towards where you're staying. So you obviously said to her, "Yeah, I got a place right down the street."
Yeah.
There was no other conversation?
No other conversation at that point. I'm like, "Oh yeah. We'll go back to my place. Let's go." Right. So we're walking.
Right? You thought you were the bomb that night, huh?
Yeah, you're damn right I did.
No flirting, no nothing. Okay.
So then we're walking, and she stops me, and she turns, and she takes my hand, pulls out a tit, and puts my hand on her tit, and I'm like, I can't even effing believe this. I'm like, dear Penthouse Forum, I never thought it would happen to me, but right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, and then that's when she says, by the way, I'm going to need some money for all this. And it was at that moment when the anvil fell out of the sky and hit me in the head. And it was that sunlight dawns upon Marblehead, New England moment where I feel like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't what I thought it was.
So how do you get out?
He
I
took
told
out
her
his wallet and gave her $100.
no, I told her I spent the last of my money in a 7-Eleven and I still had my yeah, exactly.
And you want the rest of my chipwich though? We can share it.
So you had $1.75.
Oh no, I had money. That was my lie. Although I'm gonna. Oh my god. Here's another one. You're gonna love this one. Okay?
Gosh.
Yeah.
So I used to work in Belltown at Second and Bell, and in the back of this computer store where I worked, there was this alley where I'd throw the trash out and that sort of thing. And there was a hooker out there one time, because there's always hookers all over Belltown, and they're crackhead hookers and that sort of thing.
I feel like I've never seen a hooker in Seattle. I obviously just think she was some local grunge chick, apparently. But go ahead.
So then this chick walks over to me and she says, "Hey, how you doing? Need a date?"
Oh.
Now, mind you, my audio is not cutting out. This woman speaks like that because she's deaf. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And so I'm like, no, I'm okay. And then she starts offering me all sorts of services. And then she reaches down and she picks up something and starts picking her teeth in front of me. And what I noticed she's picking her teeth with and sucking the food off this thing, it's a pigeon feather.
What?
Oh,
She's picking her
Is she
teeth with
deaf or blind? What are we saying?
she's deaf. Like that. And then I said to her, "Oh no." I said, "I only have like $8.50." And she says to me, "Okay, I'll take it."
Oh.
And I'm just like, you know what? I got to get back to work. And I ran inside as quick as I could, and I shut the door behind me.
Oh my gosh, dude.
How about online though? I can somewhat understand these shenanigans walking around a major city. Has anyone ever solicited you for prostitution on one of these dating apps?
Snapchat in particular, you'll get
Not a dating app.
Okay, well, not a dating app.
Backdoor? Didn't you
What
use
do you
that?
hold on, pause. What's random stranger are you talking to on Snapchat that was soliciting you, and how did that whole thing start?
All of a sudden they start following you, and then they send you a message and they're like, "Hey, hey there, cutie, how you doing?" And
Was that how Snapchat works? I'm not on that thing. I just thought it was a one-way or two-way communication, like Skype.
Yeah, I got on it because this chick I was talking to for a while, who lived in Vegas, was on there, and
I see. Okay.
and she worked a lot of hours.
Speaking of our social media, now that we're on Instagram and Twitter, we constantly, it's not just us, obviously, but we are constantly getting solicitations from porn sites. Like some of these humans that you follow, they're actually just porn bots. And as soon as you follow them, you get, these click on my link for my picture. I had no idea that was going on. I've realized because I'm going to other podcast page, including some of the Seattle ones we know, and I'm following their people because I figure some of them will remember us from Seattle. But apparently about half the people on BJ or the men's room things are just auto sex bots.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. I guess they all create numbers though that generate advertising. So we'll be kind to our bots.
Yes,
like
we will.
Fine clicks. So all right. So that was my other new dating experience this week. Hit up for prostitution. I was curious about prices, but I'll leave that out. Not for myself. I'm just always curious because I live in California, but Nevada's right there, and I actually work in Nevada. So there's brothels all over the place, obviously. And those prices that I've heard, $1,000, $1,500 for just
top
$2,000 if you want anal or something, like
top shelf girls. Dude.
Well, more top shelf. I don't know that they're Vegas style prostitutes. It's like the Moonlight Bunny Ranch from the famous HBO show. It's like an hour that way, and the price, I would never, ever pay $1,000 to get off. Screw that.
Well, if you get a chance, there's a lady that is online who is at, I think she's at the Bunny Ranch. Her name is Alice Little.
Yeah.
And
tell her Brewski sent you?
No. But she's a very attractive lady, but she makes millions of dollars as
yeah, I can see that.
And they actually, I think CNBC did a story about her and everything.
Well, if you're
That-
charging $1,000 a pop, even if you're doing 10 dudes a week, 10 grand a week, 40 grand a month, I mean, yeah, that would all add up.
Some
No,
of that
she-
goes to the house, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's expensive to be at the bunny ranch, you know, but yeah, you're making a shit ton of cash. That's for sure.
Let me
Well,
ask
The
you
guy's
guys.
name who started Dennis Hoff. Is that
Yeah.
who
Yeah, he
started
died.
it?
He
He
died.
died recently after he tried
died.
to go
Well, he was
hardcore
running.
Trump political.
Yes, he was on the ballot and they voted him in. He was dead
He
on
was
election
dead.
day and he won the fucking election.
That's
That shows you how the
He was like-
intelligence of
Dude.
Republicans are
he was
out
like Strom Thurmond.
there. Yes, voting a dead guy in. So yeah, that was fun. A quick side note here. Are either of you on OnlyFans? I honestly have
Yes.
heard about it, but I've never gone to the website, but I keep seeing these stories about these women making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars a year on OnlyFans. The fuck
I
is
know
Yeah.
what it is. I'm not on it, but do you pay for?
And by the way, I'm not saying I'm above that. I'm not above it at all. I just actually I haven't gone to check it out.
Yeah. I think that'd be a little odd for a married guy. I feel like it is anyway to be interacting with, you know, people like
Yes,
telling
yes,
them
it
to
is
do
odd.
stuff, right? So
Well,
I'm not on it.
But
I know
again,
what it
paying
is.
for porn. Porn is free, people. What's the attraction? It's just one-on-one.
Well,
Well,
I
no-
mean, it's a private show, but you can also tell them things to do.
Okay, Brewski,
But-
I know you know
but-
about this.
Well, but the other thing about OnlyFans though too is that uh, it's not always nudity and that sort of thing. Like there's a professional wrestler, not a name, female professional wrestler. I'll leave it. I won't give out her name. But she just does like bikini stuff and all that sort of thing. And
Who the fuck is paying for that? You were pathetic if you're paying to see a woman in a bikini.
How do you know Brewski's not paying for it?
Brewski, stop if you are. Come on.
I was. So here's the thing. I've been a
Fucking
fan of.
asshole, dude.
I'm sorry. Maybe if you just loved her as the wrestler or something, but why would you? I mean, porn is free and infinite.
No. That's that. But that's the thing is, I like her as a wrestler, but then she's also a second generation wrestler, and her father was one of my favorites growing up.
So you're interviewing her, or are you telling her to?
No,
do
not
something in her
neither.
bikini?
Neither. I don't pay for the upper echelon stuff, or I wasn't paying
Okay,
for.
all right.
I was just paying for like $2 a month, and you get to see the pictures.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
forgive you $2 a month then. All right.
You know, it's like, but then if you want other access, then you have to pay for that. And some ladies actually don't do the nudity and the sex and all that sort of thing. You know, although I did find somebody from TV who is on OnlyFans now, and I actually bought a month subscription, which cost me $15 because I was dying to see her completely.
Can I guess
naked.
who it is?
Yes,
National or local TV?
National, right?
national TV, and
Yeah.
I will tell you the channel that this person was on, the Discovery Channel.
This is my question. Is it Danielle?
No, but I would.
Okay.
Who's
because she's
Danielle?
on OnlyFans. Danielle from American Pickers. I don't know if you ever watched the show,
Oh.
Steve.
Oh,
but
is
she's
she doing
now,
hardcore stuff?
she's
on
on
there?
No,
OnlyFans now.
burlesque stuff and nudity probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, do you
Well,
want
so
me to tell
who's
you
yours, Brewski?
her name was Christy Brimberry.
Don't know her.
She was on the TV show Fast and Loud. It's a car
know it.
building show,
Oh, okay.
and she's got like tattoos and like this really short hair. She was the office manager. Didn't take any bullshit, but she is HAWT. Like,
Do you see her
wouldn't
naked
believe.
on there? Is she fully nude?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And yeah.
So I know that on some of these OnlyFans sites, it'll just be a woman or a man, I suppose. I don't know if everyone does it or what, but whoever the person is, maybe taking care of things solo for you.
Yes.
But then there's also like full on corn stars, doing it up. I mean, there's full on scenes that they do right in front of you. So
Yep. Absolutely.
And by the way, I don't begrudge any woman making money doing that. Like if I could just shake my naked body and make hundreds of thousands or millions, I would not be putting all the effort into this talk show.
how do you know you can't, dude? Have you ever tried it?
Like you said, I guess if there's the male side of OnlyFans, maybe I'll
There
look into
is.
that. But
Aaron Carter pulls in.
but I'm not going to earn that kind of money. I'm a 46-year-old pasty white dude.
Oh, you never
Dude.
know, Steve.
Dude,
Well,
you
I
know-
guess there's something for everyone out there on the internet. So
Hey,
There is,
Exactly.
and a lot of people. I mean, that Aaron Carter, he just, from what I understand,
the Backstreet Boy or
Excuse me.
NSYNC or whatever he was in, Aaron Carter, that one.
Yes. He just jacks off. He just jerks off on camera, plays with his dick, and he has hundreds of thousands of people tune in for it.
Wow. Can't write a song anymore, huh? One
Well,
of the women I saw being interviewed, she was just feet only and was making hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
A year.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
There's a lot of fetish stuff going on.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. I would absolutely, you said you wouldn't pay $1,000 to get off. I would absolutely drop $1,500 to have sex with Sarah J.
Who's Sarah J? Is that the woman you mentioned?
Oh, no. She's a porn star that escorts too.
Yeah, don't assume I know all these women. How dare
Oh my, yeah.
You're a dirty bastard, dude.
I know them by sight. I don't memorize names. So.
I would drop $1,500 for her easy. Absolutely.
What do you mean? To hook up with her?
Yes.
Tell
that's
me
not
this,
gonna last
Brewski.
30
I don't
seconds.
care. I don't care.
Yeah, how would you prepare for that whole thing? I mean, what would go into the night's preparation to make sure the session lasted and it was everything you hoped for?
Your money's
Spending
worth.
almost $2,000.
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I don't know.
I mean,
You
let's
just
get
opened a can
real
of
about
worms
this.
right
We
now.
may get some donations.
I
too.
suppose I might do what the Hulkster always told us.
No.
Train, say my prayers, and eat my vitamins. That sort of thing.
No, you should something about marry it, maybe. Jerk off repeatedly before the night.
Well, yeah. Remember, Woogie told what's his name to do that in there's something about Mary.
That's what I
Yes.
just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good advice. But all
We
right.
should
Well,
see if we can get the money
You want to paint a
together.
picture for us, or maybe we should go fund you. I bet we
No,
can get
that's
1,500
okay.
bucks out of this audience.
I'll do it on my own. But that's fine.
Yeah, you're taking on the conquest. You're going to do it.
I don't know.
Is she open? Is that an option? I bet
What's
she's
that?
more than $1,500 if she's a porn.
No. She. I look up on her site.
half?
I'll
rather
look it up
not.
actually.
Okay.
Half hour, 50
Well,
bucks.
again,
or
these prices
$1,500
are-
bucks.
I suppose I've paid significantly more over the course of relationships and whatnot, and left significantly traumatized too. So maybe it's cheaper and easier just to pop the grand and pop one. And be done.
Maybe so. All right. Well, Steve, congratulations on your first hookup offer.
Solicitation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big boy now.
Did you
Now,
report it?
Have
All
you
right.
learned?
What?
Steve? Have you learned fly Eagles fly yet?
I have no idea what that is.
Well, the lady, the attorney lady, she's an Eagles fan, and if you really want to get in good with her, you have to. That's the song they sing after they score a touchdown in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Fly Eagles fly.
Well, I don't know what's going on with that lawyer right now. I'm currently in the midst of, I don't want to call it full on ghosting, but I sent a friendly little text this past Friday night just saying, like, hope you have a great weekend, cheering for the Eagles on Sunday. I got no reply at all.
And might I add, you did not wait for your Uncle Nicky to get back to you on that.
You took too fucking long. I texted Nick ahead of time to ask if I
boy.
should. It had been a week. I didn't want to just ghost her and vanish. So I thought, I texted Nick and I'm like, dude, I got this 7 to 9 thing and you're taking too long. So I just sent the text and no reply. And I didn't ask a question, I suppose, but you usually give some courtesy, a little reply to that, right? So now
What did you say? It was just have a great weekend.
I think I said happy Friday. I hope you have a great weekend and I'll be cheering for the Eagles on Sunday. That's what I said.
All right.
No reply.
No reply.
So now I'm in that mystery texting dating game of why isn't she replying? Am I annoying her? Is she, maybe there's some crisis. Maybe hey, her phone died. Like, fuck, I hate this fucking game of dating.
Listen, dude.
I know.
You cannot send anything else to that lady until
no, you're right.
it is to reach out for a date.
Yes. And this is what I'm talking about. The games, the craftsmanship, and the overthinking. Because now I'm like, well, fuck, you didn't reply. So now I can't be pathetic and send you another text until I hear back from you. Or a few weeks have gone by and I'm like, hey, how's the dog doing? Are we ready to do this date or what? So So I don't know. I told you guys that as I'm going out in this dating world, that if I feel I have a valid second dating material option, like the lawyer, that's where I want to put my energy. I want to meet her again. I want to get the update, find out what life is before I start doing all these other random dates out there.
Yeah.
But then, I got pseudo ghosted by her, which I'm not giving up by any means, but that's not a great sign that I didn't get a smiley face back or something.
Yeah.
You never know, dude. You never know what anyone's doing or going through. You
Exactly.
don't. I mean, she really could just be tangled up with personal shit.
Or she's thinking I'm coming on too strong, or I have to assume this woman thinks something's up with me. Like just out of the blue, I came back 2.5 years later. Maybe she's been thinking about it and is like, I don't want to be second option or whatever. I mean, who knows? This is the problem.
Here's the thing, dude.
Or maybe she's like Nick. She typed a reply and never hit send, because you do that to me all the time.
Sometimes it happens, dude. I'm still working with an iPhone 8. Yeah.
Oh, he does it all the time. Hours go
forgot
by,
to hit send on that. I always forget.
You forgot to hit send.
Yeah.
So
hey,
we'll see.
Listen.
Oh fuck! What was that? Something just fell off, Nick.
Fucking light fell down, dude. You guys take the wheel for a minute.
That was fun. I don't know if the Zoom. I don't think it was recording at the time, but something just went crashing down behind Nick in his video. So he's repairing his studio.
Yeah.
That's funny. So anyways, Brewski. So now I'm being ghosted. So the problem is this then puts me back into the internet dating world thinking like, well, maybe I don't have a viable second date option. So maybe I do start to pursue other things. And this is where I start to get myself in a little bit of trouble potentially.
The moment you start to pursue other things is when she's going to write back, dude.
Well, then she should be writing back any old minute now. What the fuck is going on? Is your studio haunted? Why is that lamp falling?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's my on-air light too. Maybe that's telling us something.
By the way, I think my house might be haunted that I just moved into.
Really?
I've got a piece of pottery on my kitchen table. It's sitting in the middle of a silver tray that came from. Ooh, I didn't even think about that. It's my dead grandmother's silver tray. Oh. And the pottery is something my daughter made, and I always put it in the middle. It's like the centerpiece on the table. Every other fucking day I go down there, and the pot is off of the silver tray, and it's just sitting on the table. And I keep assuming it's my kids. I swear to God, it was off the tray this morning, and I'm home alone this week. Like, I keep
it's Austin.
You think my 8-pound cat is picking up a pot and putting it off gently to the side of the tray?
Yeah, I think he's pawning it.
There's a lip on the tray. Like you couldn't just push it on. It would tumble over. I got to figure this out. I got to ask my kids, have you ever moved that thing?
You better get a camera in your house.
I was going to say, you put a camera in there.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder. So
call down to Las Vegas and call Zach Bagans. Do little ghost adventures up at the harness homes.
It's the last thing I need. I mean, if it's my dead grandma, that's cool. She was nice. But otherwise, I don't need spirits roaming around here. So anyways.
Nobody was murdered in that house or anything, right?
How would I know? I don't know.
You wouldn't know. Hey, dude, listen.
Yeah.
Please expand. Please expand. You're reaching out to people now in honesty and affection. Are you looking for connection?
I don't know
with
what
other people anymore.
When it comes to not second date material, I have to just keep my options open. And maybe it's just dating around. Maybe it's someone I wasn't thinking I was looking for that type or whatever it is. So, I've become a little more discriminatory on my internet dating. People that don't quite meet my standards, I've just gotten rid of them. And I've got a few viable people on the hook. But I was kind of slow rolling them because of the lawyer. I didn't want to set up second dates, right? Now, first of all, a woman who looks dead on for Angelina Jolie, who lives in my town, the other end of the lake, but is here. She reached out and did this whole hey, it was on Bumble. And she was like, I wanted to contact you because I don't want the 24-hour clock to expire, because that's another Bumble thing. If you don't start the chat within 24 hours, it goes away. And she's like, hey, I see you're into podcasting and, all this stuff. She's like, let's talk. And she's fucking gorgeous. And I wrote back, and now it's 3 days and I've heard nothing. She seemed like all exuberant and trying to contact me, and now back to this game. Like now I messaged her and now she's not replying. So what the fuck is she? She's some Russian spy? Is this real? Blah, blah.
What's the appropriate time, dude? I mean, do you think she's sitting watching it? I mean, and that's an honest question. Do you think after she's just like,
I would hope that women that are actively messaging people at least every day or two, or checking the app to see if somebody replied to them. But I've also heard from a lot of women that say, I check this thing once every other week,
Yeah, she could be on other dates, dude.
Well, That's true. But still, she came after me. So no reply, no nothing.
Well, so
Ridiculous.
what's the appropriate amount of time where you're just going to delete her?
Oh, she's smoking, so she's not getting deleted. But like we were just saying, like I'm not replying again. I did a reply until I hear back from you. I'm not going to reach out again, or I start to look pathetic. So I'll let that one
Yeah.
sit. But I hope she replies because she's 37 and looks like Angelina Jolie, the big full lips, the same hair.
Yeah.
She is cute, dude. She
And
is
like I said,
cute.
she's on the other end of the lake, so that's good. So we'll see what happens with that.
How long of a drive is that?
About 45 minutes.
Okay.
So not too bad. But yeah, so then I made contact with another woman this week, and this is the story Nick's waiting to hear about.
Oh boy.
First of all, let me just describe her stats to you, Brewski. She's a cute blonde. She's
Okay.
49, but does not look 49. I'm 46, so that's appropriate dating age range that we've all talked about.
Agreed.
Okay.
She's 5'3", so she's little, but she's 115 pounds. She's an avid,
Nice.
mountain climber. She's got a smoking body, good shape, very cute. She's lefty liberal, easy to talk with. Lots of good stats. That all
Nice.
sounds
Okay, good. Yeah.
for the first date material, right?
Any bad ones or?
And we may have discussed this woman on a previous episode. You may know her as the suicide girl.
Yeah.
No.
Remember this, Brewski?
Yes.
This was the woman who said she was sober and was messaging me at all hours of the day with incoherent messaging and calling me on video calls at 3 a.m. and clearly was not sober. And I thought she sent me lyrics to an Imagine Dragons song that was about suicide and drug addiction and all this stuff. So
And she wanted to go naked hot tubbing in the
Yes.
forest or
Ooh.
something.
naked sunbathing
Nice.
in the middle of the desert. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. I've kept this woman going on Bumble because I don't know. It's kind of fun in a weird way. I don't have to solve everyone's problems in this world. So
What do you mean? It's fun, like talking to old idiots on the overnight at the radio station. That type of fun.
yes, like when Nick and I would do radio, when drunken people would call or people that you just felt like, well, I got my shit more together than you do. There's some sort of superiority complex that comes into play there where I don't feel like I have to use my first date etiquette and manners and beat around the bush. And I just, I was just calling it like I see it with this woman. So the other night, she's been calling me on and off, and I could tell she was, obviously off the wagon. But the other night when I was driving home from San Francisco, I had like a 4-hour car ride, and she calls me during the car ride. And I'm looking at my caller ID on my, Apple CarPlay, and I'm just thinking, like, you know what? I got a long car ride ahead of me. Let's do a little vocal minority style interviewing of this woman. And I answered the phone, and it was funny. The first time you normally talk to someone, you're doing the first date thing. You're using your manners and etiquette. I just fucking went right in on this woman of like, so what the fuck? Like, what are you calling me at 3 a.m? What the hell's going on here? Well, what are you drinking? How much are you drinking? I mean, we just kind of hit the ground running, just got into this whole conversation, and she was
good with the banner back and forth of you being direct and kind of an asshole.
At very first, I could tell she seemed a little caught off guard by it, but just like I do on the radio or whatever, like I just kept pushing through and I just plowed through the conversation. I was steering the whole thing and asking blunt and direct questions. And it took her a minute or two, but she kind of warmed up to it. It was almost like that, like the man's taking control kind of thing. Let's see where this goes. And she, we started talking about, her drinking, which is fucking a lot. Like she's leaving Las Vegas, Nicolas Cage style. Like she gets the tremors when she doesn't drink. She drinks what did she say? Pints. 2 pints. 2 pints is what she normally drinks in a night. That's a fucking lot, right?
Yeah, those are the smaller bottles, but yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot for a woman of her size.
150-pound woman drinking 2 pints of vodka or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's trying to quit, but it's not going very well. And the reason she called me that night, she was like, my hands are shaking. I don't want to go to the store. So I figured if you and I talked, like, you'll keep me from going to the store. So like I said, we just keep talking about random shit. And I'm asking her about, ex-boyfriends and, how is he, her ex she just described as the worst guy. And I'm like, well, he must be good in bed then. And she was like, oh God, no. Like, he's terrible in bed and all this stuff. And I'm like, God, lady, like, you got to know how to treat a woman right. I said, if a woman does an orgasm with me, I go chug some Gatorade and you get back in there and you get that job done, right? Like sex should be like a ballet. It should have the intro and the culminate, like describing my, sexual philosophies to her. She's like getting all intrigued. And then she's like, "Are you some, conservative idiot?" I'm like, "No, baby, lefty liberal right here." And I start running through my liberal credentials. And then she starts talking news with me. And she's like, "Who's the guy that's the transportation director?" And I'm like, "Oh, Pete Buttigieg."
Yeah.
Like, damn, like, oh, you're good. You know news. I'm like, lady, this is what I do in part for a living. So we're talking politics and all this stuff. And we get to a point where she said something dumb about her, ex-boyfriend. And I was just like, "Well, what kind of guy are you looking for?" And she was like, "Based on this phone call, she's like, your voice, first of all, oh my God, like the way you talk and your smooth tones," which I hear that a lot. So that's and she's like, "You're smart, you know your politics, and we agree on all this stuff. And it sounds like you know how to take care of a woman." I'm like, "All right." And then this story gets fun.
Oh boy.
She's like, how do you take care of a woman? Like, give me a little more
Oh.
detail on that." And so I start telling her, I run through what I consider to be a standard operating procedure on how you should seduce and foreplay. And I'm about maybe a minute and a half into just describing how I like to handle a woman. And I start to hear,
Oh, she turns on a vibrator. Yeah.
She says, "I hope you don't mind. I took my vibrator out."
Champion.
Right? Gentlemen, this woman totally orgasmed on the phone with me. Well, I'm not even phone sexing her per se. I'm just describing how I think a woman should be treated.
Okay.
Well,
This is good.
So how
It's
long?
good, except for the fact that she's a raging alcoholic.
Listen,
Yes, go ahead.
did you have a boner while she was doing it?
At one point she's like, "You should, feel free to join in." I'm like, "Lady, I'm driving up a windy mountain pass in my car." Like,
Yeah,
that's
it's not
not gonna
happening.
happen. But I said, I'll keep talking. Like, you're having fun. And it was like that scene in the Howard Stern movie where the woman was on the speaker. It was just like, Clay, just getting louder and louder. "Oh, Howard." Exactly what fucking happened, man, as I'm just talking to this woman. And then the funniest part was I dropped the phone call at that point because I'm driving up the mountains. So I hear this woman climax, and then the phone drops dead. And that's it took me another. Well, no. So well, it kind of was it. Yeah, I got home and I sent her a message or two, like, "Hey, I'm home now." And total silence. I can tell you exactly what happened. She
blacked out.
No, she came and then she went out to go get a drink. Like she wanted, like after sex or something, because she was sober during all of this. So she disappeared for like an hour. I sent her a message saying, "I'm going to bed." But then I was getting messages from her all night long, sending me pictures, and not even like naked pictures. Like, she was sending me pictures of her climbing mountains. I think she was almost like, "Let me show this guy I'm a real person too." But she clearly was drunk. So her efforts to stay, sober that night failed epically. In part because, she was so intrigued by me. She climaxed on the phone playing with herself, and
nice.
A good hard drink after that.
You know what? I started giving Steve a little bit of shit for this when I didn't hear the whole story, but I heard some of it. I heard pieces.
Okay.
And I started giving Steve a little shit. Here is my thought and my concern. Both, only because I care about you.
There's a lot to be concerned with here, so I understand.
Yes. And this is an honest question. I'm not making a statement. I'm asking a question for both of you are great people to answer. Okay. If you have something that you're looking for, if you're not investing your time into just that, is it the best thing? Like, do you think it's okay? Do you think you're going to get where you're wanting to go fast enough if you're going to slow down for this detour to fuck around with the crazy girl?
I can answer that 10 ways. Like, is it what I want? No. But like I was saying earlier, if I don't have a valid second date material out there, then I may as well either be celibate, alone, and just, do nothing, or why not play the field? I'm 46. I'm free. I'm snipped. Like, why not go have some fun and go into it with the idea that not every date has to lead to a wedding?
Exactly.
I think that's healthy, dude. I think that's a healthy way to think about it, for sure.
And kind of like doing the practice coffee date. Like, maybe I just need to get one under my belt. You know what I mean? Like, go have a little fling and get it done, and then be serious.
But you know what though? I will tell you that sometimes people that you kind of just go to hook up with, they become either things sometimes can develop into more than.
Sure.
And other times that person can become an incredible friend of yours.
All
Like,
possible.
like someone that you would reach out to, like a female version of Nick almost.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, the woman was truly really easy to talk to. And once I broke down all that first date bullshit and we were just talking like real humans, it was definitely an easy conversation and fun.
No pretense. You both, but you're just letting it fly and whatever happens. Because if she says, fuck you, I'm off the phone, you're like, okay, big deal, whatever. You have nothing to lose.
These are some words of wisdom, Brewski. And maybe I can save her. Maybe I can.
You fucking idiot. Listen, dude. Okay, listen.
I know that's what I know you think that's what I'm thinking, but it's not.
There's a part of you in there that will get sucked into that. I guarantee you. If you show up and she's a sweetheart and she's fucking great in bed, you will get sucked into being like, oh, maybe it's just this. And I'm here to tell you, dude,
it's
with a wife who has. Say again?
It's about expectations. Like, normally when I get sucked in with women I've been with that have had bad past, it's because I want a relationship with this woman. So I'm wondering if I approach it differently, if I won't give a shit about solving her problems.
You're incapable, dude. You're incapable. And that's part of being that's the liberal, nice guy that you are. Yeah. You care about people too much. But all I'm offering is to be careful, as I only have experience with alcoholism through my wife's parents, who both died before the age of 57. So they were like hardcore alcoholics that drank themselves to death. Not the project you're looking for at this time in your life.
No, I know that. Yeah, Bruce.
So I was said, Steve might be the guy that kind of encourages her to stop drinking.
Yeah,
what is wrong with you, dude? Do not feed this fucking beast. Listen,
I was already, I suppose, on that first call trying to talk her down a notch of like, why can't you just have 2 drinks? Why do you have to have the fucking bottle? But then part of me is like, I'll mix you a fucking drink if you're gonna have fun. Like,
play bartender.
Right. I mean, I have to stop trying to solve everyone's problems and look at every relationship as leading to a wedding. So if I'm going to go that route, this might be the perfect one.
You're also focusing on solving your own fucking problems, and I don't think this is a good addition to come in the door.
One of them is I haven't gotten laid in a few months, and I feel bad saying that to Brewski based on your previous admission. But
that's okay. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
I'm in the early stages of going without. Like I'm jonesing. Yeah. Like when you hit a certain point, it becomes a little easier. I think.
Are you going nuts for it? Thinking about it all the time?
Yeah.
Hey, listen. I have moments with passengers in my car. What was it? Saturday night. I had 4 girls in my car. 4 girls in my car. One of them sitting next to me with this skirt that's barely covering anything at all. Mm-hmm. Tiny, blonde, and that sort of thing. And she kept saying to me, "Oh, you're so funny." And then she's touching my arm. And she's like, and she said, "How old did you say you were?" I said, "I'm 51. She's like, I thought you were 30 and that sort of thing. And she's getting out of my car and she's blowing me kisses and everything. And I'm just like, I might need a few minutes to myself right now.
It really got you charged up.
Holy jeez, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
that ride was totally 3 thumbs up.
Wow. Up what? Exactly. So I don't know, Nick. What are your thoughts and concerns? Obviously, there's some major red flags here. But,
yes, dude.
But besides the raging alcoholism, she seems like a nice, fun woman.
It's exactly. You know what? I've gone and looked at cars, and aside from the rust, boy, it's a beautiful car.
Steve,
and it's gonna fucking fall apart.
But if you're just taking the car out for a lap around the block, what do you fucking care about rust? It's not going to rust that quickly.
Because once I've taken it for a fucking ride around the block, I'm connected with this being, and I start to care. And hey, listen, I know one person that you have gone over and just, I don't know a better way to say it, I've just treated like a whore.
Yeah, and I remember. Yeah.
Okay, and you drove home and fucking laid in your shower for an hour to undo the dirty.
I gotta stop telling you all my stories. Nick told me the other day, he's like, dude, if this woman kills herself and you're the last one she was with, the cops are calling you. And I was like, Nick, I hear you. Use a fake name. Good advice. Thank you.
Oh boy.
You
At
know,
the same time, dude, go be yourself and have fun. I just want to put my vote in for be careful, please.
Maybe it's not a one night
Please.
stand, though. Maybe it's just a little friends with benefits sort of thing. You get together every now and again, have a couple drinks. I don't know. You're right, though. I know I'm not going to like it. But
Put
I
it
don't
in
know.
writing.
Maybe I've gotten older. Maybe I've matured into
In the
sluttiness.
last
if you
4
go, promise me that if you go over there and you bring her vodka, do not spend the money on the good stuff. Just buy a plastic bottle of Burnett's and call it good.
Yeah, that's my sound advice too. So
Okay,
I was thinking I'll take her to one of my favorite bars up here, but that's going to cost me hundreds if she's drinking 2 pints.
But even not even that. Just what if she starts showing up if you like to drink that place? Don't take her where you like to go to, because she might start going there, and next thing you know, you're there with the chick, and then she comes over like, "Hey, Steve, you didn't call me."
Yeah,
you know.
Listen,
impossible. We don't live in
weren't
the
we
same
just
town,
talking
but
about
I'll
fixing her? Now you're drenching her in alcohol. Now you're feeding her addiction.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, that's just what I'm
yeah.
saying. I'm not here to fix her. So
Yeah.
let's go have a couple drinks. What do I care? I'm not your priest, you know.
And on top of that, if you are gonna take the car out for a drive, right, you got to put gas in it.
Right.
You know,
A couple
you
of
got to fuel it up.
And she said
All
at
right.
one point, by the way, when prior to her asking me to break down my my methods and all that, she said something to the effect of, "If we meet up for drinks, I'm definitely fucking the shit out of you."
Nice.
So these are tempting things to have dangled in front of a lonely single man, Nick.
Oh yeah.
I understand, dude. I get it.
Man has needs.
Right. So,
Well,
like I said, the attorney ghosting is what has sort of started tilting me down this path of like, well, maybe I should be exploring other options, but
well, maybe you should just tell her straight out, hey, I don't want to fuck around talking anymore. Like, let's just get together tonight and I'm gonna rail you, and then you'll have it out of your system.
yeah, that could be. The other problem too.
And then you'll call her the next day and ask her how she's feeling and ask her if she needs a muffin because she has a hangover. And then you'll take it over and then you'll give her a little massage. And then you're caring for her, trying to take care of her.
All right. So don't care for her. Okay. This is good dating advice. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with any of this crap. All I know is dating sucks. So, but
Yeah.
that's the latest in the world of internet dating in the last week. Ghosting,
sympathize.
prostitution, raging alcoholics that want to bang me, and super hot women that are now ignoring me after looking for me originally.
So, the week is young,
Hashtag
dude.
dating sucks.
You've run the gamut, Steve. You've run the gamut.
Right. So we'll see what happens between now and next week's episode.
But
No
think
telling.
about, Brewski's been at this for a while, dude, and he's learned how to live in a nice little system.
Yeah.
Doesn't
so Brewski, I
ha-
gotta tell you,
does not.
I've been chopping up all these little clips to put on our social media stuff, and I chopped up the clip of you admitting that you, not admitting, confessing
That's
to
fine.
us. We didn't pry it out of you,
Yeah.
that you have not had sex in 7 years. And part of me felt terrible about posting that on the internet because
I don't care.
it seems vulnerable and personal, but you shared it with the world already.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, anything I share on the show is fair game.
well, good. So I feel a little less guilty, but dude, that video is getting a lot of play on a lot of those platforms. Like
Yeah.
people are intrigued by it.
Well, they're
Yeah,
not
that-
only intrigued, but I think there's more people that you think that can relate to it. You know, that are going through the same things.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, the only comment it's gotten so far was one
Was
guy that said,
loser.
one guy that said something like, "I feel your brother and I got you beat. I'm at 8 years."
Okay.
You know, there's definitely
that's what I mean, dude. I really do think if more people were honest with what's happening in their sex life, I think it would be you'd be surprised. I think that more people are going through exactly the whatever you want to call it, a dry spell, a phase of life. I think a lot more people than are honest about it are out there.
Yep. So
Yeah.
on the social media topics, should we run through a couple of our vocal minority comments?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so.
All right. So let me see. Our first of all, this whole discussion we had about, me getting the vasectomy, and if women, do they love a snipped guy? Brewski and I were saying, yeah, Nick didn't think that was a thing.
Oh, actually, it is.
Oh, it's definitely a thing.
And
Yeah, on Tinder there was a lady I saw recently who said that one of her musts was that you had to be snipped,
Right.
and it was right there on her profile.
It's a
see,
big
I don't
thing.
get it though. I don't understand. I mean, I understand it for a relationship, but are you just going to show up and raw dog it with a suicide girl? Or are you just going to raw dog her?
She's a touchy one because, I think she's done some playing in her life. If it's another woman in my situation, you've been married for all these years and now you're divorced, you've had limited interactions in the world, then yeah, I would either say go get your tests or, be honest with you. Come on, what do you got? You got rashes? You got any symptoms? Like what's going on?
But you know what?
Yeah,
But,
I do a little physical exam myself. Don't worry.
A condom could always break too. I've had that happen.
Dude, but we're just talking about extra precaution. I'm just wondering. You can do what you want. You're grown men, dude. I'm just wondering.
Well, listen, as soon as I trust a woman, absolutely. I mean, the freedom that comes with that comes.
I agree.
No pun intended. But yeah, it's glorious. And by the way,
they hit menopause too. That's the best thing because then
that's another really good one. However, those tend to be 50 plus, and I'm still focusing on below 50.
Oh no, actually, you know what? More women these days are actually hitting menopause
in their 40s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because so many of them actually have started puberty a lot earlier than girls in generations past.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I haven't encountered that yet. I will tell you the crazy one that's been stalking me. She, when we were dating, I think was 47, and she said she was just starting it, but still, that's pretty close to 50. So. Yeah, it can happen as we get older. And by the way, the Angelina Jolie that came after me and is now ignoring me, her profile does say she wants children someday. So maybe she's figured out, because mine says I don't want any more. I have and don't want more as well.
How old was she?
37.
That's getting kind of.
Yeah, but that's where they start to get desperate too.
Late in the evening.
I had a woman reach out to me on one of those recently that was all back, into it right away. But then she was like, "Oh crap! I just saw on your profile it says you don't want any more kids. Is that true?" I said, "Yeah, I've got two."
No, it's a lie.
I said, "Well, I'm willing to be a stepdad, but I'm not willing to make any new ones." And she was like, "Well, it's been nice talking to you." Like she was on there looking for a baby daddy.
Well, speaking of baby daddies, years ago, Liza Minnelli wanted Scott Baio to get her pregnant. Like she put on had her agent. She had her agents calling him, his agents, and like hounding him because she wanted a baby and wanted Scott Baio to be the biological father. Not support the baby, just give her a baby.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I can see that. So
she's lucky it didn't work, dude. Scott Baio's an asshole.
Well, this is true.
So
this is true.
Well, is Liza Minnelli dead?
No, she's alive.
She just looks dead.
Yeah, exactly.
She was on, I don't know, the Tonys or something, and I think it was Lady Gaga that wheeled her out onto the stage. I don't know if you guys saw this. This was a couple months ago, but she got lost and confused in her wording because I think she's dealing with Alzheimer's or something similar.
Sure.
And I just keep thinking to myself, dude, why in those late stages? Richard Pryor had a few things that he did at the very end of his life that I just think, why? I would just wrap it up
because it's their passion. It's what they love. It also makes them forget about what's going on in their lives with their health. Like when they're on stage, even if it looks bad, they're in their safe place, and it makes them forget for just a little bit of time of what they're dealing with off stage.
You think that's the right? Have you been told that, or is that your opinion?
That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I can see it.
I think it's a safe haven for them,
I think I'd bang Liza Minnelli. It's Liza Minnelli, right?
Yeah, why not?
Put that on your resume.
And you know what?
What's happening with you?
You know what?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually.
Oh, listen, I mean, I've had a thing for Nigella Lawson for years.
I have no idea who that is.
Oh, she's a British chick from the cooking channel and that sort of thing. But Martha Stewart was another one. Still,
I would have done her. I still.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Well, Oprah's always been my thing. Dude.
Oh, that's your Nubian queen.
Yeah, that's my Nubian queen, and I mean, I'm not giving. Not giving up.
Now, Nikki, would you buy her Izelles?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
world famous Izelles.
That's right.
I would. Well, Steve, good
I
luck
have
with
more.
everything, dude. Be careful.
Appreciate
That's
that.
all I'm saying. If you're gonna raw dog that suicide girl, dude, just be real careful.
Soak it in vodka first.
What about oral only? Yeah, that's actually that's a good technique right there for her. So
Yeah,
Mm.
you make a game out of it.
you've given me good things to think about, and I think we've offered some practical safe sex advice to the audience.
I think so as
Hope
well.
they can take that. Moving on with our comment section. Let's see here. The whole YouTube thing is really interesting. The YouTube shorts continue to give us, hundreds, if not thousands of views on some of these videos. One of them that is doing very well is the question, can zombies swim? I had said on my dating profile that, these dating profiles all have these corny questions that you can answer. And one of them is, what would you do for a zombie apocalypse? And I said, find a boat. Zombies can't swim. Go to a fucking island and life is good. Like in The Walking Dead, why did they not just go to a goddamn island? These zombies can't swim.
It's not self-sustainable, dude. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Nick brought that point up to me the other day. You couldn't live on an island if there's a zombie apocalypse because it's not self-sustaining. How did Gilligan's Island do it? How did Tom Hanks do it? Like, how does Hawaii do it? I mean,
I didn't think about the whole Gilligan thing. Yeah, that's a good question, dude.
Right. So Gilligan could survive.
They got to get off every once in a while because they're living in a post-apocalyptic world. They got to go find bullets and ammunition. They got to, hopefully
you're on an island.
Farmer.
If they're on an island, they don't need bullets.
What, you don't think people are going to come and try to invade your island?
I
didn't think so either. I mean, it's
these are valid points, but this has nothing to do with whether zombies can swim or not.
Yeah,
that is my point.
What was and did people comment on it about whether zombies can swim?
Well, one person said, but they can walk on the bottom of whatever water. If they don't need to breathe, then they don't need to swim. Don't dead bodies float?
Dead bodies.
Yeah, that's true. But
so they could drift, I guess, to your island. I would just pick an island then that's not part of the main flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, go to San Francisco and go out to Angel Island because if they try to go into the bay, they're going to get eaten by sharks or they're going to freeze from hypothermia.
See, that's a good one. Or Alcatraz, because then you can lock yourself in a cell if they somehow drifted out to your island. So
yeah. But
no, I don't think zombies can swim. And
I don't think so either.
His point, they could just basically walk across the ocean floor and eventually.
No, they couldn't.
I don't think that would work that way. I'm pretty sure either sharks would eat them, then we'd have zombie sharks though. That'd be
that's a whole other thing. And if you get enough zombies in the water, they're gonna start being able to. They're gonna raise the pyramid floor.
Yeah, they're going to pile up.
Yeah, they're going to be able to walk across all their dead buddies at some point in time.
That's a good scientist right there. Are there enough human bodies on this planet to fill one of the oceans to the brim? Somebody Google that.
No, I would say no.
Well, then
I would say not.
So pick a couple of fucking islands and be zombie free. Take over Australia. It's a big island. Come on. They don't have guns there, right? We could take them. So anyways, so this guy feels they could walk across the floor. I don't agree.
Okay.
That's that. Britain. I don't know why, but Britain has become a major topic for us on YouTube. Our top 2 videos right now, both with about 1,500 views, which I get it in the grand scheme of the internet. That's nothing. But again, we're brand new. So but they both got
Queen, dude.
We got north of 1,000 on each of them. It started with the British food, and we'll circle back to that. But then I reposted this, should we care when the Queen died? And then that one took off, and people started commenting on that. But everyone that commented, like the first person was, I genuinely do not give a fuck about the Queen. The second person was, absolutely nobody should fucking care about the Queen. Like, people were agreeing with me. They were just piling on. I got no Crown supporters.
Yeah.
Well, now we know who our audience is, dude.
Right. So apparently bashing on Britain is good. But the other weird thing about all this social media stuff is like those videos on YouTube are our biggest videos currently, more than 1,000. But that exact same video on Facebook has like 3 views. Like no one gives a fuck on that platform, but YouTube, for some reason, they do.
Because it's old people on Facebook. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why the young kid. That's why the kids aren't on Facebook anymore, and they're all over on Snapchat and that sort of thing there, and Instagram.
It's been interesting to watch which videos do well on which platforms. And part of it's the algorithm and what time you post it and what you tag and all that, but it's definitely topic driven too.
Mm-hmm.
So then this brings us to the British food, which I will say I posted and I tagged Gordon Ramsay in this. I'm waiting for him to hopefully come after us, but
Gordon.
so far that hasn't happened.
Gordo, where are you?
By the way,
pal?
I was supposed to meet Gordon Ramsay in March of 2020.
Well,
Oh,
you should have fucking got a facelift, dude.
What do you
That's
mean?
what you should have done.
fucking Trump ruined it for you, Steve. You could have met Gordon Ramsay.
Yes.
You could have met Gordon Ramsay, but didn't Mark McGrath have something to do with stealing that away from
It's a
you?
whole different fucking thing. No, Gordon Ramsay was scheduled to come for the grand opening of Hell's Kitchen in Lake Tahoe. I was on the media list to interview him, and then COVID hit, and it all got canceled and shut down. Fucking Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray, motherfucker.
What happened?
Steve hates Mark McGrath, dude.
He stole my job from me. That's what fucking happened. Here in Lake Tahoe, we do a ball drop on New Year's Eve, and the events company that started the thing hired me as the famous local DJ to host the ball drop. And for years and years, I was the Dick Clark of Lake Tahoe. I was hosting the ball drop in the Heavenly
Did you
Village.
take pride in it?
I took a lot of pride in it. I liked being the Dick Clark of Lake Tahoe. I like being a dick in general, but being Dick Clark, it was fun. And you're on stage with thousands of people, and you're counting down. And our ball was a heavenly gondola car, one of the chairlifts that comes down wrapped in lights, and then fireworks go off. It was a lot of fun. So we built this event up over many years, and it became so fucking big that the events company lost the contract because they were required to put it out to a public bid, and some other company underbid us, and they fucking hired Sugar Ray, Mark McGrath, to host the thing. He took my goddamn job. And part of me was complimented that they hired a real celebrity to take over for me, but hey, fuck you, Sugar Ray. That was my gig.
Is he really still a celebrity?
Why don't you fly? Okay.
Yes, he's still a huge celebrity, dude. And
Come on,
might I add,
huge.
I don't know if he's huge, but he's still a celeb, and he does a lot of TV shit, and he became a host of what? Entertainment Tonight or something.
listen, he is a big enough celebrity that when you would see him out on the street, you would know who he is. Yes.
Yeah.
And you should feel good about that they didn't get Tom Likas, to come and replace you or something like that. It was Sugar Ray.
It could be worse. It could have been the guy from Smash Mouth who had to stop touring because he went racist on stage.
It could have been him.
Could have been the drummer.
It could have been a lot of worse people. Mark McGrath's a fucking rock and roll Jeopardy champion, dude.
Yeah, he is. So
I mean, he was stolen from a formidable opponent.
All right. If anyone out there knows Mark McGrath, tell him it's nothing personal. But if you fucking come back to Tahoe this year, I'll be waiting for you. And I told Nick to drop you from the 90s at noon on our radio station. And I still fucking hear Sugar Ray on our station. So what's the deal?
And you know what? Sugar Ray track sneaks in every now and again. And it seems like Steve's listening every time. He's like, seriously, you're still playing this shit?
Right. Taunting me, please. Great.
Well.
So anyways, back to celebrities, Gordon Ramsay and British food. So we posted this thing. I said the British food sucks because British food does suck. It's the worst cuisine on the planet. The meat is gray. There's no seasoning. They boil everything. Their food sucks. And for some reason, this sparked
such an ignorant comment to BT Dubs, only because you don't know that it's the worst food on the planet. How much Ethiopian food have you consumed?
Listen, I know there are Ethiopian restaurants. How many English restaurants do you see in your average neighborhood?
Pubs everywhere, dude. Fish and
pubs.
chips.
Do you have restaurants though?
Yeah, but they serve food. A true pub serves food. True or not, Brewski?
The Georgian Dragon over in what do you call it? Fremont does.
Yeah, fish and chips. That's the only thing they seem to have gotten right over there. And by the way, I started to wonder, was this some crazy theory I had? So I Googled, does British food suck?
Yeah.
And it's a widely held opinion that they have the worst cuisine on the planet. Even John Oliver on his HBO show admitted, yeah, we have the worst fucking food on the planet. So this is not a crazy thing I came up with, but it's pissing people off.
But wait a minute, are we taking into account things like in Southeast Asia where you can have like fried crickets and stuff like that? Like,
yes,
really?
I'll eat crickets over gray meat any fucking day. Their food's sorry, Britain. So one comment here. The guy says their meat is gray. They add food coloring to make it look more appealing. I would concur with that. Although
you don't think that happens in the States?
Well, maybe, but is it to cover up gray meat? Our meat?
Yes, you got all kinds. Yeah, I mean, it is to make it look more appetizing in the supermarket.
Well, you know, here
Well, all
in
food does that, I suppose. Yeah, you're right.
here in Boston, every year around St. Patrick's Day, obviously, we have corned beef and cabbage. And there's one place in particular in South Boston that actually advertises outside their bar that they serve the gray corned beef, because for some reason people like the gray corned beef. I like red corned beef myself because it looks like real meat and that sort of thing. But the gray stuff, some people actually advertise that, and it's a drawing card for some folks.
Yeah,
Don't know
I
why.
get it.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know the corned beef did not start in Ireland?
Oh, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Irish, I think, started it, but they started here in America because they can only afford shitty food when they first got here. So they got the crappy corned beef and tried to make it into something. But it's not actually an Irish cuisine.
No, it's not. And actually, it's just a tough piece of meat. And so
You
you
gotta
gotta
corn it, dude.
exactly, and then you gotta let it boil for like, I cook mine for no less than 5 hours.
Yeah, you shouldn't be boiling meat, and that's just what they do there in Great
Oh,
Britain. So
I disagree, dude. I love corned beef and cabbage. We
Oh
have
yes.
a mutual friend, Stewie, makes the greatest corned beef and cabbage, and he
Oh, really?
corns it for like 8 days,
Yeah.
and then cooks it till it's, I like my corned beef to fall apart a little
Yes,
bit. I don't
yes.
want it as a slice of meat. So yeah, I love corn. I love boiled meat, dude.
There used to be
Just
there's
gonna
a
say it.
there's a butcher shop north of Seattle actually, where I would go and I would order a corned beef ahead of time, and you tell them how big of corned beef you want, and then they would cut it, and then they would corn it, and you would pick it up on a certain day. It would be like 8-9 days and be ready to go for you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
listen, that's
Yeah.
some good corned beef, but that's not my main point here. Let me read these next two comments back to
Okay.
back because I find this comical. This next guy says that is oh, and by the way, I had talked about the fact that I liked the warm beer they had over there, that all their beer is warm, and that actually was good. That was a compliment I tried to give fucking England. So this guy says that that is literally nothing like what the UK is. Many ales and lagers are chilled, and and it's clear that this person has never visited a restaurant. And then the next comment was, I'm not always the greatest defender of our food, so they must be British, but this guy obviously has never even tried English food. Do you fucking idiots think I just made this story up for some reason? That I went to England and your food sucks and I just decided to randomly say this in the middle of a conversation?
I don't know if
That's your
all of
defense
it
that
can
I'm just
suck.
making
I
it
think that's the big thing. I don't think all of it can suck. I will say that Rachel
but
was
90% of it does.
No, I don't think 90%.
It's my opinion, man.
Okay. Rachel was in London last week, and she went out. She was working, so she went out for lunches and dinners with, people paying. So they went to nice restaurants.
Nice places, sure. Okay.
She said she had some amazing food, but she probably discounted about 40 of it. 40% is shit that she left.
That's still
on
a
the plate.
dangerously high proportion. I never hear someone say, I went to an Italian restaurant and half the food sucked.
No, 40%.
And nearly half the food sucked. Okay. And by the way, I ate at Hell's Kitchen up here in Tahoe, Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, and he has a shepherd's pie on the menu, but it's a reinvented shepherd's pie. You need to reinvent it if it's all so good over there.
I make shepherd's pie at home, dude. I would love for you to eat a little bit more English food.
Why? I'm sure you can find
I-
a good example of it, and you can say, this one dish is good, the other 60% or 40% is not.
Yeah, I've
You ever
never
go to a
eaten-
Chinese restaurant and throw 40% of the food out? No.
Yeah, I've done that before.
That's just your inherent racism right there.
If we want to, there's actually a website that's a British food site, food shop, where you could buy some food from there, and you might be able to find some things that you might try.
Yeah, you might try some things.
I'm not trying to
Steve.
expand my
But
palate.
how about
I'm saying that
like
their
some-
food sucks, and if you have to try so hard to give me a good example, then you're just making my point.
How about some spotted dick?
You could have some spotted dick, dude, and you may like it.
I'll do that on OnlyFans for my British followers.
Listen,
Spotted
I
dick
am
for
not
it.
taking final word on this unless it's the final word of Gordon Ramsay. Okay.
Yeah, Gordon,
So if he
come
wants
on,
to
man,
step
please.
up, let us know. But otherwise, you're wrong.
Well, again, a simple Google search showed that this is a widely held opinion, and a whole bunch of articles of like, yeah, British food sucks, but this one thing, like just what you guys are doing to me. Like, if you have to find
What
one example, then you're
It's
What about
Russian
the-
hackers, dude. Come on.
Do you ever watch the Great British Baking Show?
No.
Yes.
That's a lot. I love watching that.
Listen,
Yeah.
that's pastries and stuff, though. If it's baking, I'm talking about cooking.
Yeah, that's true.
Are they
You-
boiling their cupcakes too over there? I mean, what the
you,
fuck?
you, it's hard to really screw up, cupcakes and cookies and that sort of thing.
Exactly. We have a restaurant here in Tahoe. It's like Taste of Europe. I'm just like, that is the worst fucking idea for a restaurant, and it's been struggling.
It's just general.
Taste of Europe. Give me a break.
I love European food. German food is the greatest food on
Oh,
the
Well, sure,
planet.
you can find parts of Europe, Italy or Germany. There are good countries, but Great Britain, England in particular, no. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, don't
So
order it, dude.
Nikki, I don't suppose that when you were in Greece, you had any goat's head soup, did you?
I have.
Did you
yes.
really? You
Yeah.
had goat's head soup?
Yeah,
Good for you.
and I liked it. I'll eat anything.
Okay.
You know what? This is the truth. I'll eat anything. I was over in Chelan, which is a small town in Washington, and they have a lot of farmers working over there that are Mexican, and they
Okay.
open up Mexican taco trucks, stuff like that are to die for.
Sure.
So everything's real authentic. I step up to the truck with my brothers in town, and there was something on the menu that I didn't recognize what it was. So we start talking to this guy, and he said,
Lengua?
What is it?
Lengua?
It may be. It's cow brains.
Oh no. That lingua is tongue.
Oh, yeah, tongue's a little rough, but I'll eat tongue. But let me tell you, these cow brains,
Yeah.
honest truth, one of the greatest things I've ever eaten.
Wow.
Fantastic. My dad and I used to eat a lot of sushi. We always eat the shrimp with the heads on them. Brains are very good, and after this week of watching the Jeffrey Dahmer,
I would just like to point out that Nick has now said eating brains is good. And last week on the show, you said you would eat somebody's face in self-defense. You may be in the early stages of zombie onset. That's all
Yeah.
I'm gonna point out to you. Okay.
I may be. We were watching Jeffrey
Swim while
Dahmer.
you can.
We were watching Jeffrey Dahmer last night while we were eating dinner.
Oh, not
And-
eating brains.
No,
Wow.
no.
Okay, that's over the
No,
top.
we were
Yeah.
eating chicken, but Rachel got up, pushed her plate away, and ran in the bathroom and threw up.
Nice.
Oh,
And I was like,
you watch Dahmer while you're eating.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was already on. The timer on the stove went off.
It was,
I just
So
brought it over.
pause it. Come back.
Come on, just go with it. I hear you.
Yeah. So yeah, she's having an issue now. She may be vegetarian. She was talking about it this morning. I don't know if I can eat meat again. I can't get it out of my head.
Wow.
So watch the new Jeffrey Dahmer special is what I'm saying. That
I got no desire. I am not into these serial killer TV shows, Dateline podcasts, any of this stuff. I don't get it.
They
Yeah,
had
a lot
the
of people
perfect
love
marriage.
it's fascinating to me. Why are you not into that?
I just don't find it entertaining at all. It's like scary movies. Like I have limited time for entertainment. I don't need a scary movie. I don't need serial killer stories.
Listen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not even going to try and convince you to like it. Okay. I'm not going to try and get you on the bandwagon
No,
that
you don't need
most of this country is addicted to at this point. You're not
Most
a big
women.
Keith Morrison fan?
Keith Morrison,
Yeah.
Jim Morrison fan. Is that his brother, Keith?
No, dude. You know who Keith Morrison is? Yes.
I don't. I have no idea.
Brewski? Really?
No.
Well, I'm disappointed in you as radio people, first of all, because he's got one of the greatest voices on the planet. But Dateline, Keith Morrison.
No,
Oh,
I don't watch
yeah.
Dateline.
They had the perfect marriage.
Is that what his voice sounds like?
Oh,
Nothing
so
like
like,
that, but
oh,
yeah.
so they thought.
Wow.
Yeah.
No
So-
desire.
Oh my god, yeah. If you hear this guy speak, Steve, you'd say, okay, I know that guy's voice.
Yeah,
I know that. Yeah.
No, not into the serial killer stuff. Have you guys been watching Dahmer? What's up with that?
No. But I mean, every
Yeah.
so often, late night, because I'm usually getting home at 3, 4 in the morning. Dateline stuff is on the TV, and then you just hear that guy's voice, and someone's about to get killed.
No.
I mean, it's just
I'll do a cop drama or something, or a movie about serial killer that's fictitious. But besides making your wife throw up, are you guys enjoying Dahmer?
Let me tell you, the Dahmer is. First of all, I started watching it while she was in London, and I got to the end of the second episode, and then the third started, and I literally was like, whew, I gotta fucking shut this shit off for a little bit. Like, I'm feeling dark and inside.
Right.
That's what I've been hearing.
Right. Is that what you want for your relaxation time?
Yeah, I mean, I want all kinds of different emotions, Steve. I want to feel a lot of different shit. But then I said, okay, go back, you watch the first 2 episodes, and then we'll watch the rest of the show. And like I said, I'm probably about 3/4 of the way done with it. And yeah, I mean, it's fucking disturbing, beyond disturbing all the way through. So far, anyway.
Well, now when you tell me you're going to have a friend for dinner, I'm going to wonder what you're really talking
yes. Yeah. You know what, Brewski, tell me that you know who Armie Hammer is.
I know the name, and I know he's supposed to be a wealthy. He comes from a wealthy family, and that he's also like sexually assaulted or physically assaulted women or something like that.
I know he's also a failed actor that's into kinky stuff. That's what I know.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So one of those kinky things that he's into is cannibalism, and it's been coming out that, I mean, that's really, I don't know if that's even a kink. I mean, it's obviously a mental illness.
I would say it seems like a crime and a mental illness.
It's not like something you can do once and then come back later on. You know,
I
know a lot of women that like to get eaten, but I don't think that's what they meant.
Little cannibalism here and there, but he has several different girls claiming now that he tried to eat them. I mean, he said several times, like, I just want to eat your ribs. I want to eat your ribs. And
like he brought a knife and fork into foreplay. I mean, how did they know he wanted to eat them? And what does that mean? Like, I just want to take a rib.
He's still got a bottle of open pit barbecue sauce. He's just like,
a little barbecue sauce.
Give me a, spice this up a little bit.
I would imagine that it happens in the throes of passion, that he gets excited and wants to consume them fully, is what I've been reading. Right? Okay, so
yeah, we all blurt out stuff during sex. I get it. So
yeah, I thought. How sick does one have to be a cannibal? Do you know where cannibalism actually where it came from, other than just like a need to stay alive?
The Donner Party, which is also in my neighborhood up here.
It's not true. Well, I mean, it came way before that, but that's a famous one.
Yeah. Isn't there something where there are some tribes in like Indonesia and stuff like that where they would kill their enemies and then consume them as well as part of a, like, we're finishing you off sort of thing? Or
they thought all the power from those other tribes would somehow be within them. It would make them stronger. Yeah.
Raging diarrhea is a sign of internal.
So yeah, dude, as I start hearing about Armie Hammer, and then the Dahmer thing comes on, I'm like, how fucking popular is cannibalism? Like, are there a lot of people that suffer from this want, desire for cannibalism?
Well, and you should Google it and let me know how long it takes for the feds to find you.
I already did, dude.
Oh, boy.
Okay. I've got a email out to a lady who's an expert on it. She's a psychologist.
What kind of paid ads are you getting now that that's on your search history result?
I haven't been paying attention. I just did it yesterday. So
you let me know.
Yeah. But she's written several articles that I read that are fascinating on how many cannibals are in this world right now. That you have no clue how many people.
Are you a cannibal though if you only want to eat? Don't you have to actually eat human flesh to be a cannibal?
You're an alcoholic if you want to drink. I mean, I would suppose.
If I've never had a drop of alcohol, but I'm like, man, I just want to chug Jack Daniels all day. That's different than being somebody who actually chugs Jack Daniels all day.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, dude. But what I'm trying to tell you is there are people that you see at the grocery store. This is a promise and guarantee, Nick Reynolds style, that want to eat you and that see you and think about it.
I assume that
they don't follow through with it,
Well, that's the thing. I would love to talk to your expert. I know you're trying to get him on, but how many people are wannabe cannibals, and what is that small group? What's the number there? People that have actually done this? It's got to be.
There's treatment centers for it. For
Who
actually,
are these people eating? They just do a one-off murder and eat that person.
just sometimes they
Grandma
don't even kill
dies
them.
of natural causes, and then they.
Sometimes they
grill.
don't even kill them, dude. They cut their finger off and they fucking eat them. Eat their finger.
I just felt the urge to puke. No wonder Rachel threw up watching Dahmer eating dinner. Oh,
Hey, I'm not
God.
saying I like it. I was fascinated, however, by the fact that we are living amongst these people.
Wow.
I never thought in a million years. I thought Jeffrey Dahmer was an oddity, dude. And I mean, he is in the sense that, he had so many that we know about. But
Now I see him as a doer. Like he achieved his goals. He didn't just, one of these wannabes.
And we're talking about people in general, everyday life. We're not talking like in a live situation. Remember that movie
Right.
about that Brazilian soccer
Yeah,
team
yeah.
and they had to like eat each other because they're in the mountains and that sort of thing. This is more like I can eat other things if I want to because I'm living my daily life. I just want to eat a human.
Yes, that's
I blame this all
exactly
on
right.
Hannibal Lecter.
That's it. Well, yeah. I mean, that came from somewhere. Someone's mind brought that up because, well, there's a lot of people out there doing it.
I want you to
Speaking-
get this person on. I don't know that I'm gonna get through the interview though. This will be interesting.
Does it really make you sick?
It's making me a little queasy just talking about cutting. You're having sex with someone, you cut their finger off and eat it. That's foreplay
Or
right there.
raping somebody. I don't think there's a willing party.
I would imagine sometimes they may seduce them, Nick. I'm just starting to think this through. It'd be easier to seduce someone first and then cut their finger off.
You should
Just
watch
saying.
Jeffrey Dahmer, dude. I mean, that's what he tried to do. He would
I'm here to give
seduce,
help.
drug, and eat.
Oh.
Do you know? Also, I will leave this on your palate, okay, and then we can move on.
Okay.
Jeffrey Dahmer drilled holes into people's heads, okay,
Yeah.
and he would insert just a tidge of acid. So it would not kill the person, and the person couldn't still act like a person, but they have no decision-making skills any longer, and they cannot
Like
feel
LSD?
anything. Say it again.
Like LSD acid?
No, like,
like battery
sulfuric.
acid.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Wow.
So
when you
if-
can't find roofies, just drill a hole in someone's brain and drop a little acid in there.
so he just has basically zombies living in his bedroom that he can defile once in a while. Tune in tonight.
But
It's
he-
awful.
Not
Here-
normally
here's-
speechless, but
Here's a question.
yeah.
So
Ugh.
when did he have sex with them when they were dead? And if so, would that be stopping by for a cold one?
Well, it depends how long they've been dead, Brewski. You know better than I do.
Is
Steve.
cannibalism acceptable if you're only defrosting somebody?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Listen, he had people in. He had when the police arrested him. Yeah, I think he had several hearts in his freezer.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So he was. There was a scene where he took a liver out of his freezer and defrosted it and cooked it. So
And
I mean,
you wonder
what you're
why
right-
I'm not into serial killer shows. You're just laying it all out right here. This is not
Oh.
entertainment
No.
or any information I need to have in my brain. So
You don't find it fascinating. So
no.
well, on a final note of that topic, Brewski, put us in that alive situation. If the plane goes down, I just want the order in which we are eating each other. I want your answer and Steve's answer. Who are you eating first?
Well, I would figure you guys would probably eat me first because I'm the fattest one. So there'd be plenty to eat, and you guys would be safe for a while. And you guys, so I figured I'd be the first one to go.
It's a question of what cut of meat you want. Do you want something with a little fat on it? You want something a little leaner, like a flank? I think I would be more the flank steak, where Brewski might be more the ribeye.
So
Brewski,
you're eating.
Go ahead.
So if it's you and Steve alive, who are you eating? Are you going to eat me right away?
No, probably the pilot first.
Wait, just you have the
Wait, is
choice.
it just
to
the
eat me
three of
or
us?
Steve? Yes, you have the choice. We're all alive, but you have the choice to eat me or Steve. What order is it happening in?
Geez, I don't know. I don't know how I would decide.
Well, I'm fatter
Hold
than
on,
Steve.
Do you have to beat
So-
one of us down first? Like, is that the first obstacle to get over? Which one of you could I bludgeon to then be able to prepare and eat?
No, you have to make a decision in your head, dude, about who am I gonna feel who am I gonna feel worse about killing?
Well, come, I can't. I don't know how I would. I can't answer this.
Listen,
All right.
this
I'm coming up with my answer. I don't know if that makes me flawed, but
Yeah,
this is
I would go
this-
the Bear Grylls route and start eating grubs and snails and all that and worms and all that other stuff before I would eat you guys.
So here's the deal. Like,
That's
if
nice.
we're all healthy-ish, and we're just getting to the point of cannibalism, I would be concerned about taking Brewski down because he has had some good fisticuffs in his life. So unless I could take him by surprise, I think Nick would be the easier prey to take down.
I am a
However,
heavy
that leaves
sleeper.
Brewski and I think Brewski's got a bigger appetite than I do, and I don't want you hoarding all of my Nick. So maybe. And also, I think I would have better long-term conversations with Nick, so I would probably try to
Probably
keep him
so.
alive longer.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that would be the pecking order.
probably so.
I would base it if you were weak enough that I thought I could take you easily, Brewski, then yeah, I'd have to take you down first, and Nick
Sure.
and I would, have some good conversation that we could, carry on down the road for this kind of thing. But otherwise, no, I think, I think I would take Nick out first, but put Brewski on, portion controls.
wow.
I've thought
All
this
right,
through just in the moment, but that logic seems to pan out to me.
You're not an overthinker at all, dude. I was just curious
Survival
about who you're
instinct.
eating. Listen,
Well,
this
what
is
about
my
you? If
plan.
it's me and Brewski.
This is my ultimate plan, but we all have to agree on it for it to happen. If
Okay.
not, okay, so let's imagine that we all agree. Okay.
Consensual cannibalism, that is the way to go. You're right, especially in this modern era.
Yes, dude. Let's not be wild.
The different
Let's talk
branch
to
of
each
the Me
other.
Too movement, but it's still important.
There's
Sure.
no reason at the beginning anyway that any of us need to die. We can eat off of each other. Like, why can't I have an ear from Harness
Oh,
and keep him alive? And
Interesting.
we can live out, all three of us can live that way
A la carte.
if we just
not
take a little
buffet.
bit at a time. Yes.
Oh, gee, I should have thought of that. Now I feel bad. I feel like a dick.
we all got to agree. I don't know if everyone does. Brewski doesn't look like he agrees.
Speaking
Oh,
of
no,
feeling
I-
like a dick, that's the last thing I'm eating on either of you, just so you know.
My penis?
Yeah, I mean, eventually you got to get there, right?
Isn't that sort of the filet? I mean, isn't that sort of the filet mignon?
Yeah. Or maybe it would be a little amuse bouche, a little sampling platter, a little penis, a little ear, a little belly button for the finish off.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I feel terrible for now saying I would just jump right to murder because you're right. We should probably be cutting off fingers first.
Right. Yeah.
Hoping we
But
can
I'm
control
glad
the
you
bleeding.
murdered me first. I'm glad to know it.
There you go.
Brewski, is
Yes,
everything is everything okay over there?
oh, I'm having a power. I had to plug my laptop in. My
Ah, yeah, I understand. Because we go too long on these podcasts.
You should probably always plug in for this. But yeah.
probably so.
Well,
Listen,
did we answer your question? Do you feel
you answered my
satisfied?
question. If Brewski's into the pack that we're just going to eat off each other, then we'll all three survive.
Why not? I'm
Okay.
I'm on board. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, there
We
we go.
solved some problems today, gentlemen.
Listen, I've got a disgusting bizarreness with Harness, and now I'm on
Okay.
the fence that we should either just, put it into this catastrophe of a conversation, or maybe I just leave that for another.
No,
episode.
come join.
All right, this is a tough one. I've got things to tell you guys that I don't think you know.
Okay.
Are you prepared for that? And it's going to be disgusting.
Hit the
Sure.
button.
All right.
And now it's Bizarreness with Harness. Bizarreness with Harness. Steve Harness. It's flipping bizarre.
It is. All right. All right, everybody. It's time for Bizarreness with Harness, me being the harness in question. I'll just read the headline on this article for you. Then I'll read as much of the article as I feel is necessary. The headline: My vagina ripped open during childbirth. Here's what I wish I had known before that happened.
Okay.
Feeling good so far?
So far, so good.
The delivery doctor looks up from between my legs. I gaze at the ceiling and focus on a fluorescent light, trying to push my fear. I asked the doctor, what are the risks? He says, if you have an emergency C-section at this stage, the primary risk is permanent damage to your uterus and risk of hemorrhaging, bleeding. If I deliver the kid with forceps, there's a chance your baby may have a small amount of facial bruising. If you go with the forceps, it'll be over in a matter of minutes. The woman says, I chose the forceps.
Oh, boy.
Then there she is, my daughter, pale and silent, then red and screaming. I hold her as I shake, convulsing in a stupor after 50 hours of labor.
Holy mackerel, dude.
2 doctors spend an hour sewing me up. I don't understand what is happening to my body, only that my baby and I have made it to the other side, alive. And at the moment, that is enough. The doctor says, quote, you have severe 3rd-degree tearing and a shattered tailbone. Keep icing it. Come back and see me in 2 weeks. You may experience fecal incontinence. I'm going to refer you.
My diaper, Daddy.
I'm going to refer you to a specialist.
Oh.
This woman says a critical factor that I did not know at the time was that about 90% of people who give birth vaginally will experience tearing. Tears are classified in grades of severity from 1 to 4. The more common 1st and 2nd degree tears involve lacerations in the vaginal and perineal tissue. With 3rd degree injuries, the tear extends from the vagina to the anus.
Ooh.
In a rare 4th degree tear, the laceration extends from the vagina through the perineal area and into the anal sphincter muscles and all the way up into the rectum.
Woo.
Okay.
Dude, wow.
Stop reading right there. And here's my point of this article. Did you guys, like in science class, when they were discussing sex ed, did they play that video of a woman giving childbirth? Did you see that? Was that part of your curriculum? Because it wasn't my school, and it wasn't like up close and personal, but they showed a woman giving birth.
I saw one in school, but then also at the Museum of Science in Boston, they had a whole room that was like a permanent thing on birth and that sort of thing. And you could stand there and watch this video of this woman giving birth.
And you see it exiting the vagina.
Oh, yeah. Like
yeah,
you see
I've seen the same.
Yeah, the head crowning through the bush and everything like that. Yes.
Right. That's a clinical term, bush, by the way.
Did you, by the way, were you in the delivery room for your kids?
So this is my point. I was not told any of this. I was not told things that should have been told, I feel, to people that might be fathers someday. Because, yes, I was in the delivery room for both of my kids being born, and I had a front row view. You know, the doctor had told me, like, come on down here, like, come on, all this. And so I was not standing up by, like, my wife at the time's head or anything. I was watching all this stuff. And
did they warn you of anything?
No.
The poop or anything?
They didn't warn me of anything. And my 7th grade science teacher greatly let me down and did not warn me of any of this while he was playing that video. But yeah, things are freaking terrible down there. I mean, vaginal tearing, incontinence, I don't want to throw my ex-wife under the bus here or anything, because none of this is obviously anything a woman can control during this process. But
obviously,
things get terrible down there. There is blood, there is feces, there is urine, there's screaming. You watch a human come out of that thing.
Yeah.
And I was not prepared for any level of what truly happens during childbirth. And the doctors each time told me, like, this is nothing. You should see some of the stuff that happens to some of these women, like that article I was just reading. 4th degree tearing from the vagina to the anus and incontinence. And like, oh my freaking God.
It's insane, dude. I mean, it's insane. When you meet a woman who has given birth to any child, like, gotta give them a pat on the back, because I mean, it's something that, I mean, it's incredible. But when you meet a woman who has a large baby, you cannot help but think to yourself, oh wow, like you had to go through some shit to get that baby out.
Yeah. Literally, perhaps.
Yeah.
Some shit.
It's incredible, dude.
I had a coworker years ago who had this tiny wife, maybe 4'10", and their baby James, when he was born, that baby was over 10 pounds.
Oof.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, dude. Those big-headed, big babies, dude.
Yeah. So then here's the other issue that, again, no one discussed with me, not only in like middle school or, a high school sex ed class, but I would think maybe some doctor at some point in this process would have pulled me aside, but it is traumatizing as a man to watch your favorite plaything go through all of that. Watching a vagina like tear open and a human head come out of it. You got blood, you got all this terribleness. And then I'm supposed to go want to play with that thing the next month or whatever.
So what do you mean? Like, right away, you just think, because I've never been a part of being in a room like that with, with anybody, let alone someone I love. But you immediately think that, that's going to be hard to picture in the way I used to.
Yes. Prior to watching childbirth, a vagina was only a plaything to me as a man. I don't look at it as a functional thing, and obviously women have a different relationship in general, but once you go through childbirth, I mean, the things that happen down there to, like I said, my favorite plaything, it'd be like watching Mickey Mouse do the Jeffrey Dahmer thing, like something that you thought, oh, it's fun, it's Disney, it's Mickey, and now you see Mickey covered in blood and feces, and you don't want to go play with Mickey Mouse after that. So it was traumatizing. It took me months after each childbirth to be able to go back down there and not be shot with this image as you're getting your face down there of like, my kid just came out of here and I watched blood and I watched all this terribleness.
It took
Nobody
months?
warned me. Oh, yes. Now, most women need at least a few weeks afterwards, to have sex again anyways. But yeah, that was some serious PTSD where I had never envisioned it that way. And my eyes were open wide, and it was difficult.
Howard Stern, you being a Howard Stern fan, you remember he said that after watching Allison give birth to his daughters, he viewed her vagina as what he called a war wound.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never heard him tell that story. That's interesting. But no, I would agree.
Yeah, he had the same thought that you did, where he was like, I can't look at it the same way. And then he kind of said, I believe he said that he felt guilty for a while because he was the one that caused all of this for Allison to go to. Yes, it was great to have the children, but everything else residual from that was like, this is my fault.
Yeah.
Did you ever get back to the place of where you were before all of this? Like, I mean, did you ever get back to a place mentally where you did not think about that every time?
I did, and you know why?
Oh, now you are a champion.
Fucking champion, Nick. I don't give up on vagina. Okay. I get back in there and I get down to what I got to do. But no, it was truly a traumatic event. I didn't see it coming. I didn't understand the ramifications. I didn't understand how it would change my perception of the female body. But yeah, you start to, you like any trauma, I guess, you got to kind of, put your hand on the hot stove and work your way through that. And each time it gets a little better. And eventually, because I'm an immature guy, I was able to just go back to my original perception of that thing. And yeah, that was tough, man. And nothing I was warned for, and I should have been. Somebody should have warned me for what was going on there.
Yeah, no, that's a rough one, dude. I'll never forget that when my sister had her first child, we were all sitting outside of the delivery room. And obviously, like, if you're right out in the hallway, you can hear things that are happening, right? So all of the normal things that you would hear in a hospital room of people talking, you keep pushing, all of that kind of stuff. And then there is a point where you hear the baby cry. And, hopefully you hear the baby cry and everything is great. We're standing out in the hallway and I'm like, oh, my sister had her first baby. I was so proud and everything else. And one of her husband's friends is sitting by me and I don't know if he forgot momentarily that I was her brother. He kind of elbows me and he was like, I'm going to go in there and tell that doc to give her a couple extra stitches for her brother.
Make it a little tighter.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Excuse me, dude. Like, he completely ruined that whole moment that I was totally in and vibing with. And I wanted, if he wouldn't have been such a large guy, I probably would have punched him. And if I was not at the hospital for my niece's, birth, but I was so offended by that. And I took that home with me. And I was like, oh, stitching my sister up. I could not get it out of my head. And I was like, yeah, all that stuff probably happens to every woman. And that joke had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
What a foul joke, dude.
Yeah.
Extra couple stitches in. I was just like, oh, wow, you're really
kind of funny, but it's terrible.
Not to a brother.
Right. No, for sure. No.
Yeah.
There's a reason they clean that baby up before they hand it to the mom and dad for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
You
and
ever seen
you
a water birth?
do what?
You ever seen a water birth?
I don't know that I've seen one, but we had people talk to us about that, and it seemed crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the only reason I bring it up is because I don't know what the level of, tearing and everything is with that, but everything goes into the water.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're just sitting in a soup bowl,
Yeah, that sounds
basically of
disgusting.
all of that stuff. And it's, I can't imagine that that's healthy, but a lot of women prefer it, I suppose. So
I don't know. I've
You
heard
know-
pros and
speak
cons.
on it.
So years ago, I used to work at this store in Boston, and the guy that was the cleaner at our store, he worked for this company that had several different contracts, and there was a baby store nearby, and he got an emergency call because one of the ladies who was in the store shopping, her water broke at the store, and they had carpeted floors, and when her water broke, it was just all over the carpet, and he had to go over there to shampoo the carpets.
I imagine that happens frequently.
Yeah. You make the mess, you clean it up. So
You
But why-
wonder after you tell that story, Steve, and you've seen, your ex-wife go through it a couple of times. Like, this is why I constantly wonder why, when we started this whole world out, why are women not fighting wars?
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I
man
don't
could
know
survive
many
that.
men that could go through that and snap back and be like, yeah, I'm good to play again. Just give me a couple of weeks. I'd be like, don't ever touch me there again, dude. I don't ever want to be touched there again.
they say the kidney stone is the closest equivalent in pain and suffering that a man can go through, but I don't hear about anyone's dick exploding after passing a
Right.
kidney
Yeah.
stone.
Yeah.
I had a roommate that had to pass a kidney stone, and he was screaming like you wouldn't believe. And when it came out, it was the size of a bouillon cube, he said.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's
Wow.
terrible for sure.
Yeah.
But again, was there blood and stitches
Yes.
required?
No, not stitches, but there was blood, a little bit of blood. But I was living with him at the time, and hearing him screaming in the bathroom, I'm just like, what the hell is going on in there? You know?
I'm sure we'll all experience it at some point, but yeah, I still don't think it's anything equivalent to
Oh, no,
to
not even
childbirth.
close.
So
Not
yeah.
even close.
All right, women, you get that one. All right, we'll concede. All right, let's see. Brewski, talk to me about some booty, Mr. Booty.
Oh, General Booty, which
Yeah, what's
is
up with this?
Reporting for duty.
General Booty reporting for duty.
Who the hell is
So-
General Booty, and why do I need to know about this?
General Booty is a quarterback who plays for the University of Oklahoma, and I believe he's the son of John David Booty, who was a quarterback for a while in the NFL and for LSU. And I saw that General Booty was getting into the game the other day because the Oklahoma Sooners were getting blown out by the TCU Horned Frogs. And
Was he the second stringer or something, or what?
well, he's a freshman, so
Oh,
he's
redshirt.
he's like a 5-star recruit, and they have a starting quarterback that they love there. And how often does a freshman really win the job outright? And so
I don't know
General
what's
Booty-
weirder, his first name or his last name. I mean, obviously having a family name of Booty, you would think someone would change that at some point, but I guess they embraced it. But why General? They have to be from the South, right?
Probably.
You would think though. Yeah, he's a sophomore. He had played at a junior college and Texas. He's from Allen, Texas. Actually, is where he's from.
Hmm.
He is. So he is.
I'm trying to think of what would be a worse first name if your last name is Booty. Free Booty, Bloody
Loose booty.
Booty, Loose Booty,
Yeah.
And actually-
Acme
Rear
booty.
Admiral Booty. If you're going with
He's-
the military name stuff.
Yeah.
He's actually set to possibly start this week against Texas, which is actually a really big game. The Red River Shootout that happens every single year between Texas and Oklahoma. And
Yeah. Listen, for all of our entertainment, I hope this guy goes on to a long, successful career in the NFL and everything else, so that announcers for years have to talk about booty on the field.
he actually has
Not just the cheerleaders.
He actually has T-shirts and he's raising money. Anyone who buys the T-shirts, all the money goes to the Oklahoma Children's Hospital. And he has a T-shirt that says "I Heart Booty." There's a picture of him on it that says "Booty Call." Another one that
Oh, yeah.
says Then it says general, and it's got a peach underneath it.
You would think Mr. Booty would be raising money for like rectal cancer or something, but
You would think, yes, but yes, general booty.
My dating profile does say that's what I'm looking for, though. Just general booty.
Just booty in general.
Just booty in general. Yes.
Well, all right. I'm sure that kid had a fun childhood, and that's probably why he became a jock and beefed up and all that stuff. So.
Yes. Now I remember he actually had we had that van. Remember the van?
Yeah.
You sent us a picture. What's that about? This weird 70s van?
Yeah, so I knew for a long time because I'm really into vans and that sort of thing. And people used to put like names
into vans. Yeah, okay. Sure.
Well, I had a van. Remember my van?
I remember your van, dude. I was brokenhearted when you had to get rid of it.
The crescent moon shaped windows and everything on it.
Yeah,
70s style, right?
Yeah, so this van actually I found had a name on it called the Stabbing Cabin.
The Stabbing Cabin.
And I pictured him pulling up to the school, General Booty coming to the stadium for the game, and he's pulling up in the Stabbing Cabin.
Well, driving it to the children's hospital. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but
comes a little booty in the Stabbing Cabin.
Yeah.
I told you we had a funny story, Brewski, about the Stabbing Cabin.
Yes,
and
please.
I was in Tahoe with Steve, and we were having dinner with his kids, and we're eating, and his son is getting ready to go on a camping trip with some friend, his best friend. He starts talking about we're staying in their trailer. They got a trailer. It's called the Stabbing Cabin.
And they start debating, though, my kids, like, it's because someone got murdered in it. That's why they call it the Stabbing Cabin.
Yeah, so Steve's oldest steps in and was like, that's why they call it. Somebody got murdered in there, and that's, somebody got stabbed in there. And Steve and I are both kind of looking at each other thinking, yeah, I bet they did. I bet they did over and over and over.
There may have been some tearing going on there. Yeah.
They camp in the Stabbing wagon. Is that what they call it?
No, I don't know. No, it was called the Stabbing Cabin. Where they went to camp at, there was a cabin, and that's what all the adults called it. And we're just sitting there having dinner, and this conversation starts between my two kids about no one was murdered in that cabin. No, well then why did they call it the Stabbing Cabin if no one was murdered?
and you didn't decide that this would be a great time to have a conversation?
No, I think I was like, I guess someone got murdered there.
I think that's probably what happened. Someone was murdered. It's sad. We should never talk about it again.
Exactly.
If I were there with you guys, I would be sitting there and like just holding the table because I'd be shaking so much trying to hold my laughter in.
It was pretty dang funny. I mean,
oh my gosh,
it was funny for sure. It made me
getting the shakes like Steve's alcoholic there.
His suicide girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, that might be the next Mrs. Harness. Okay, let's stop calling her the suicide girl. Okay?
I've also got to watch this woman. Honestly, I got to watch myself because who knows which one of these people is going to end up being nice. And at some point, if you do marry suicide girl, I mean, we'd have to have the conversation. My good friend Nick used to call you. We used to call you the suicide girl. I think we did that with your last ex. Because we had a nickname for her too.
When they all start off, they have nicknames. So,
yeah. I can only imagine the toast Nick would give at the wedding.
Yeah,
the suicide girl.
She's drinking non-alcoholic, of course, but let's all raise a glass. So, maybe this woman signs up for rehab, and in 30 days, she's like, just this great, clean, sober woman.
Because alcoholism is never a lifelong fight. I mean, you're right. Could happen.
Is it terrible that I told her, like, why don't you start smoking pot? Like, quit the booze. You don't need to
just
be
move
sober.
from one to the other.
Come on.
Let's try some of these pills.
No one's overdosing on pot. Nobody's shaking hands, from not, being able to hit a joint yet. So honestly, I mean, it's the way healthier version of something you can be hooked on, right?
But she's an alcoholic, dude.
But we all know people though that if they don't wake and bake, that they're just like off the whole day, or like at least the first half hour of their life, like you can't even talk to them at all.
Yeah,
Yes.
but they're still way nicer to hang around with than raging alcoholics. That
This
was
is
the other
true.
thing. I was like, well, what kind of drunk are you? Because I'm a happy drunk. Like people love it when
Yes.
I'm drunk. I'm giggly and happy. And she's like, oh, I'm a really mean drunk.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh boy.
Oof. I've seen
But I
mean drunks
digress.
before, Steve. You want nothing to do with the suicide girl.
I'll shut her up. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Can't talk with a full
See,
mouth.
you're
you know what I
already
mean?
trying to fix
I was
her.
just thinking the
dude.
same thing.
These are my solutions. Some people will send you to rehab. I'll just fill your mouth up and you won't be able to be so
Oh,
Hey,
mean.
there you
wow.
go.
Right.
You are a problem solver, Steve.
Thank you, Brewski. Thank you. All
I
right.
take
speaking
no
of-
part in this, Mrs. Harness. If you're listening to this podcast, this is not anything I condone.
It's not you, babe. It was some other suicide girl, raging alcoholic that I talked to that one day.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
All right. So we've been talking about blood, DNA, all that stuff on a previous episode of the Vocal Minority. Brewski had gone on ancestry.com and
Oh.
found out that not only does he have other siblings out there, but more importantly, you found out that you have a what, Brewski? Share with the audience if they missed the previous episode.
I have a son.
Yeah.
His name is Brendan. He's 24.
Not
you
to
was
be
a-
confused with Brandon.
No.
you.
Brendan.
And you found this
And-
out as a 51-year-old man, right? This is a recent discovery.
Yeah. Actually, I'm 48 years old, so 3 years ago.
Okay. All right. But either way,
Yeah.
you were a full-grown adult. You found out that you have a full-grown son out there because you went
Yeah.
on Ancestry. All the
Yes.
commercials are like, "Are you really German? You know, find out." They never say, "Find out if your parents were cheating," or "Find out how many extra siblings you have," or "Find out if you got a woman pregnant and she never told you, and you actually have a child out there."
Yeah. And actually, he's listened to our show.
Yeah. Where does he
And
live nowadays? What
He lives
city?
in he lives in Minneapolis now.
Okay, I see his dot. He is listening.
Yeah.
I
And
can see where all of you are listening out there in podcast world. I got a map, and when you log on to any website, it doesn't matter. Not social media, but if you listen to the podcast, I can see you. And I saw
Yeah,
I saw a Minnesota dot pop up, and I thought, I wonder, is that his son?
Yep.
We also saw a Boston little tab pop up. But way to
did.
go, Brewski.
Yeah, I see that you're listening now too, Bruce. And by the way, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I can also tell roughly how many episodes people have listened to because your dot starts out a thin gray and it gets darker or more condensed white, and then it starts to turn red the more episodes you're listening to. Your son's
Sure.
listened to quite a few episodes. I don't know if that's
Oh,
good
yeah.
or bad. I don't know what he's
No.
learning about us, but
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I told him, I prepared him. I said, listen, if you listen to the show, you're going to hear things that maybe you didn't know. Obviously, you didn't know about me, and things that might make you a little weird or uncomfortable. But I'm always going to keep it 100%. And
it's one way to learn about your dad, and at least he's a full-grown adult. You know, my kids are going to find this stuff one of these days, and I'm going to traumatize the shit out of them.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that in a scenario like yours, Brewski, that I mean, it's kind of a cool way to get to know about your father. I mean, as somebody that you don't know at all. I mean, there's not a room you could sit in for Super Bowl Sunday or sit at a bar where you could tell all the stories of you that we talk about. And I mean, I don't know. I think there's something kind of cool that he's listening and learning who his dad is. By the way, a great dude, obviously. So I think it's cool that he's going to get to know you a little bit through these stories. You can't recreate them in a room with him. Well, remember this one time, like he's going to get to listen in and kind of find out about who you are as a person in general and a father.
well, and because I'm with you guys too, I'm more relaxed, and I'm just letting everything just kind of go and fly, and so I think it's just more original, more not original, genuine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure.
Yeah.
I got to
You
tell
know?
you guys, my son is dying to listen to the show, and I asked him the other day, like, why are you so curious? It's the forbidden fruit because I've told him not to listen if he wants to, but I'm like, so what are you really curious about? He's like, well, like, I don't like that all these other people get to see this. Like, we were at a mechanic shop the other day, and the mechanic was like, Harness, listening to the podcast, man. That's funny stuff. And he's like, the mechanic gets to listen to you, but I don't get to listen to you. And I'm like, listen, dude, like, I am sharing stories that I would not normally share with my kids. This would never come up at the dinner table, you know? And he's like, well, but you're my dad, and I want to hear what you have to say. I'm like, oh, fuck me. Like, that's great and noble, and I love that's what you're thinking. But man,
If we
told
were
some
on
stories.
regular radio, he'd be able to hear you.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be as descriptive as we have been on some of these things for sure.
No, but I mean,
and if he wasn't listening at the time, he would. It's done. It's over. These podcasts are living on forever.
Yeah, I mean,
true.
he's going to hear him someday, and you're just trying to prepare him for that, I suppose. But I can tell you this: he may still be a little bit young to listen to this program and to know some of these things. But as like, my dad and I struggled for a portion of our life to get along and did not get along, and that ended, which I was lucky for. But I always remember kind of knowing my dad growing up. But I would have loved to have had a fly on the wall moment of where I could have just like heard him honestly and candidly talking to his friends in a room that I could have been like, that's my fucking dad, dude. That for better or for worse, that's my dad that I love, So you're worried about a lot of it. And I 100% get it. Yeah. But he's going to hear it someday.
I'd rather it was someday, not this day.
I agree with you, dude. I'd
rather I was dead and gone, and my kids in their 30s or 40s are going back through this. And our dad was a cool human and had all these crazy stories. At ages 13 and 16, I don't need to have these discussions. I'm like, so mom's vagina tore? What can you tell me?
I understand, dude.
Which one of us did more damage to mom?
So here's a question, Steve. Who would be more difficult to explain something to of your children?
Well, my firstborn is, go ahead.
Neo.
You think it would be more difficult to explain to them?
Yes.
See, I don't, because Neo, and the reason we're calling my daughter them is my daughter has come out as gender neutral, non-binary, whatever. So I'm respecting all of that. So they are them, not she. But they are extremely progressive and open-minded to the world. And I think some of these things, mainly because of her maturity and exposure to, the whole gambit of things out there that some people would find uncomfortable, whatnot. I actually think they would probably take it better, but would probably be a little more disgusted by it. Whereas Crosby would be a little more mystified and maybe, with his young age, a little shocked by some of these things.
I agree with that analysis 100%. And I guess that's what I meant. I think that some things that we talk about would be a definite eye roll for them, but also a kind of like, come on, you guys, what are you talking about here? That's crazy, right?
Well, he keeps saying to me like, oh, so you did some crazy thing when you were a teenager, like, what does that matter? And I'm just like, man, I'm talking about current events now too, though, is the problem. I'm talking about my sex life, I'm talking about drug, I'm talking about internet dating, I'm telling stories about your mother during childbirth, like I don't know.
It's a tough it's a tough needle to weave, my friend. I don't envy the situation at all.
No, I've been letting them hear selective things, but the entire Unfiltered show, especially the first two episodes we did, we talked a lot about my personal life and their lives and their mom, and the fact that I don't even think my firstborn knows that my wife was 9 months pregnant with her when we got married.
Right.
We got married on February 11th. She was born on February 20th. Like, I don't think she's done that mad. There's so much stuff. So I was honestly thinking the other day, like when we hit like maybe 100 podcasts, maybe those first two episodes just disappear from the internet. Do we need the whole archive? I don't know.
Here's the true question of this that I know you've contemplated because you think about all kinds of shit.
Everything. Yes.
Listen, do you think that they have already listened? And if you don't think they've already listened, how much time do you give it before they find this on their own and listen and don't say anything?
These are all valid questions. I know they haven't listened to the podcast because I can geo-track it and I'm the only dot around here. So they haven't listened to that. The social media stuff, those two are both all over that. So could they have found it and listened to it? Yeah, there's not as much personal info on some of those stories. But it's kind of, I told them both they're not allowed to listen right now. And I told them that basically, like, if you told me that you kept a diary and I said, hey, can I read your diary? Like, that'd be kind of wrong, right? And this show is a verbal diary for me. So I've asked them, like, for now, respect my privacy. just like a diary, there may be some passage I write that I want to share with you. There's segments on the show I would share, but you're my kids, and I know I'm sharing with the whole world, but I'd appreciate it if you didn't. So it's kind of like telling kids don't watch porn. If they then go do it, they're not going to run to me and say, "Hey, what's 69?" I saw it in some video. Like, they can't admit to me that they've listened because I've told them not to.
Sure.
But I will say, like Neo the other day, I mentioned in front of her, them, that you guys aren't supposed to be listening. And she was like, or they were like, "What? I'm not supposed to be listening? I didn't get that memo."
So you've drilled it in.
Right. I'm like, we've talked about this several times, actually. So I don't know. But no, I don't think Crosby has for sure. Neo, maybe. So
yeah.
It's also, dude, the funny thing, about Cross is that we did the whole rap conversation.
Questions from Crosby.
Questions from Crosby. Crosby went off on Harness about how do I know that I want to be shared on your YouTube page? What if I want my own YouTube page? Like,
wanted his own identity out there.
Yeah, what if
I don't want to be known as your son only? And then he got into this whole thing about how I every time I mention his name, I should be legally required to play that audio for him since he owns his own name. And
he is your son, dude. He is your son.
Oh yeah.
Wow, the budding attorney there. Look at that.
But because he's my son, I told him, "You're my son. You're my property. So you don't know any of that until you're 18." Yeah. So no, I'm under no obligation to play any of this for you. But
so funny, dude.
I appreciate his curiosity. Maybe I should just find. I hate to say that we have a boring segment, but it's like if I could bore him, he would just be like, "I don't want to hear this ever again." We should do a fake show.
Just reading statistics of science and
that could be good.
We could talk about like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and crocheting.
Talk about tax returns. I don't know, just mundane adult crap that would just bore the shit out of him. Then he'll never listen again. So.
There will be a day that he wonders, Stephen, is Suicide Girl my stepmom?
Well, then that will be a story of rehabilitation and never giving up faith in someone. I guess that'd be a good problem to deal with. That's actually all right, gentlemen. Oh wait, no, there was a point of me bringing up the ancestry DNA. Brewski, I appreciate that your son is listening because we need all the listeners we can get. Okay. So anyone else out there in the family tree that you were unaware of that you can now make a listener of our show?
Well, I don't know if this person, it's tough because this lady wrote to me and said that she knew she was adopted. Her parents told her years ago she was adopted, but she found out that she was related to me second cousin wise and like really close. So it's possible somebody from the side of the it's not a side of my family. The guy that got my mother pregnant was probably someone from his family was the one that got her mother pregnant.
So is this a new one? Because you already told us that you found 2 or 3 sisters and a son, right?
Well, okay. So now one sister, I found out about the other 2 through the sister I met on Ancestry. Right. She's the one that told me that the guy that got my mother pregnant, who got her mother pregnant, he already had 2 kids prior to getting our mothers pregnant, and he was married.
So map this out for me. How many siblings did you recently discover? How many siblings? Not 3. Cousins or children?
3.
So 3. So you got 3 siblings you discovered, 1 son you discovered. And are you saying now there's a new person in the mix?
She's a second cousin.
Second cousin.
Okay. So we got 3 siblings, a son, and now you found a new cousin.
And where does she live?
And does she like podcasts?
She does live in the Boston area, as far as I can tell.
Oh,
I wrote her back because she was like, "Hey, do you have any ideas where I could start and all that sort of thing?"
And podcasting?
No, but she's not. I said to her, I said, "Listen, if you can look at other people you're attached to, and you can tell me some of the names, I can give you an idea as far as who you want to reach out to. But I don't think it's anybody from the Collins side of my family." I just don't think so. That's my mother's side of the family.
Yeah.
I think it's honestly, I think it's this guy that, the McNallys, that guy there.
Wow. Well,
it's so much, dude. I don't know. I don't know if we feel the same about it, but is this so much for you to process, to think about when you hear I mean, obviously from your son, it was a different story. But when you hear these other connections, does it emotionally do something to you other than just like,
Well,
wow, cool?
okay, so like when I met Lisa, my half sister, the one I
Yes.
met on Ancestry,
Yes.
because her mother spent so much time with that guy that got John, who got my mother pregnant and her mother pregnant, because and she actually spent a little bit of time around him too.
Yeah.
Um, and to hear what my mother told me about him, about how abusive he was to her, and he was a drinker, and she was very much a naive 17-year-old woman. My young woman. My mother told me, Jason, when I was going to give birth to you, I was absolutely terrified. I had no idea what you were going to come out of.
Wait, no one had explained how childbirth works? Is that what you're saying?
This is 1971, and people, they didn't have sex ed in schools.
Right. Yeah.
How?
So she wasn't told how the whole process would work, what
No.
would happen.
No. And from what I gather, the couple times that she did have relations with this guy, it was kind of a rough situation, you
Jeez.
know.
That's
And
and you from her you gathered that.
she basically told me that.
Yeah. Okay.
And so
Wow.
when Lisa would tell me, what happened with her mom and that sort of thing, it just made me feel a little, I don't know, I was angry because of somebody hurt my mom, obviously.
Sure.
And it made me feel a little sad too,
Yeah.
because she fell for this like older guy who was a smooth talker, and he basically used her and threw her aside as soon as she told him that she was pregnant.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about with this ancestry revelations. It is blowing people's worlds apart, changing
Yeah.
perceptions of family, of parents. This seems like a really unhealthy thing that's unfolding right now around our country that most people don't seem to be talking about. Because, like I said, ancestry advertises is you just find out where you're really from, but there is piles of infidelity being exposed. An entire generation of people that had no idea that they may have gotten away with cheating at that time, but then 20, 30, 40 years later, they were going to be exposed. And the more of us submitting our DNA to ancestry, the more of this is going to keep on coming or keep unfolding.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%, dude. I sympathize with those feelings, Brewski. I think that it's a terrible thing to learn certain things about, and the fact that on both sides of you and this half sister, the stories are so different, and it really sucks when those people have passed away that you're discussing, because there are no answers. I mean, other than what you already know.
Yeah.
There's no answers. There's no resolve. It's
a can of worms.
I sympathize with it, dude.
Yeah. It's a can of worms. There's no way to resolve it in that kind of scenario.
I will tell you, I was very fortunate with my mother, because my mother told me that my dad, Cadillac Jack, adopted me when I was a year old. And she told me at age 9. And I know exactly where I was, where we were in Somerville walking when she told me. And my mother was always that way, where she was very honest with me. If I asked her a question about something, she was very honest with me about the answer. And I was just really fortunate that way.
Yeah.
So
were you taken aback with that whole revelation at that time? I mean, did you think that Cadillac Jack was your birth father up until that point?
Well, yeah, but it also helped that at the time I had a friend in school who was African American, and he had 2 white parents, and he was adopted. And so to me, someone being adopted wasn't an unusual concept to me.
Right.
The 35-year-old that I was banging when I was 19, she was adopted. And when I was with her, she was on this quest to find her father. And she ultimately did, by the way. And the father said he didn't want to hear, I signed away my rights. I don't want to meet you or know you, which just destroyed her.
Common practice too, by the way.
Yeah. But her mom never told her that she was adopted until she was like 19 or 20. And it just shattered her entire world to know that, I've been living a lie. So anyone out there in this situation, you should tell the kids at a young age and just rip that Band-Aid off and normalize it, because it
Well,
doesn't need to be abnormal.
Well,
it used to be much more common for folks to do that and not to talk about adoption. I mean, our friend, we brought him up a few times on the podcast today, Dan Stewart's adopted, and he didn't find out until he was later in life.
Yeah.
And I mean, that leaves quite a few questions, right? Of things. Yeah. I mean, I think probably the way your mom did it, Brewski, is it's interesting because you were 9 years old, but maybe that was the right time for you to find out when you knew that other people were adopted. It's not a weird thing. You may have felt different about it at an earlier age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, my ex-wife Jamie was also adopted, but she has known her entire life. Like early, they had told her that. So it was never a crazy thing,
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
My cousin, she and her husband have 2 kids, and they're both adopted. They have known the whole time. And it's been interesting as one of her kids is getting up to, Crosby's age. He is 13, 12 years old, starting to wonder about his birth parents and who they are. And the daughter went through that at an earlier stage, but it's an odd one for her because his birth father is a pile of crap and he's in jail, or in prison, I should say. And he's done some really bad stuff. So she had this whole thought process of like, gosh, I mean, obviously, like, I don't want to keep anything from him, but I also want to be able to protect him. Right. I understand you want to reach out to this guy. So they lamented over it for a while on how to do it properly, and finally sat down and had a conversation with him and just said, like, look, your birth father is in prison and has done some things that put him there. And, we would say, yes, you could reach out to him on the condition of, at this time, at your age now, that the letter that comes back from him, we get it and pass it along to you,
Yeah.
So when they sat him down and told him that, I mean, I think it created a lot of calmness in him. And thus far, I want to say that was 4 or 5 months ago, he has chosen not to reach out to his birth father. And so maybe it satisfied some of the curiosity, but there's all kinds of issues with finding new family and hearing stories of what's going on. And you're right, it is somewhat of an epidemic because I hear of it happening to a lot of people, and we're not really discussing any of the mental health wrapped around how this is tearing people's visions of what once was apart.
Yeah, no, it's a major.
We only hear the stories of it adding to their life. Like, I found my dad after all these years, like your son may feel, like we hear the good ones, but yeah.
And that's a good point, and anyone out there listening to this, if you've got a story, please reach out to us. Either go to thevocalminority.net or any of the social medias. We'd love to have you on to hear what, how this unfolded for you. And Brewski, for you, what did the mother of your son, what did she tell him as he was growing up about his dad? Do you know?
I get bits and pieces. He told me that, his mother told him that I was somebody that she saw, and that, we dated a little bit and that sort of thing. And then that she spoke nicely of me. She told him some stuff about
she
me.
Never offered her to connect the dots to say his name is Jason Fisher and you can find him in this town or anything like?
No, and she probably knew that I was in Seattle at the time because I was moving to Seattle when that happened.
No, she knew where you were.
Yeah,
and certainly into the digital age, she could find you.
Well, and the other thing too was she said to him that she didn't want me to abandon my radio career because at the time it was still kind of going at the time, and that she didn't want to have me feel as though I needed to be where she was going to be.
Bullshit.
Yeah. I wish you would have got to make that decision, brother.
I was going to say that's a really big choice she made for both you and your son. So
yeah, well, but like I said though, I mean, she went back to Indiana, and she comes from a very large family, and like 6 or 7 brothers and sisters, and they all had like 2 or 3 kids each, and all these kids were Brendan's age.
Yeah, a lot
And
of family
so-
around, sure, but no, that's no.
And
Listen,
he went.
all we can do is hope and think that at the right time she did what she thought best, and it may not match up with what you think the right thing is now, but at
Yes.
the time she thought she was doing what was best.
Sure, I'm sure it was a
Yeah.
difficult situation, so I get it. But
Yeah, and she had come to Boston because she left Indiana because she was just kind of bored and there wasn't a lot there, and so she came to Boston where she had some family, and she was staying with them when she met me, and then
yeah.
she moved back after when she became pregnant with Brendan.
Well, I told my dad the other day that I was going to do Ancestry.com for a bit on the show, and he got really uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's weird. Don't do that, Stephen.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you've got so many funny bits planned. You don't need to be poking around the past."
I don't know if you're doing that. No, I don't know.
All right, gentlemen, we're approaching the 3-hour mark. It is time to wrap this thing up like I will do if I meet Suicide Girl.
I had one more thing here, dude, that I was going to tell you. I appreciate that you're going to wrap it up if you meet her, dude. That makes
Yeah.
me feel a little less anxious about the situation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Nick. What do you got?
That's all right. What I have may take some time. Should we save it?
If it's going to take a lot of time, we're hitting 3 hours here pretty soon. So that's sort of our cutoff. If it's a great topic, I wouldn't try to squeeze it in at the end here unless it's time sensitive.
It's just a personal thing that I woke up to this morning. I got a weird message on Facebook Messenger.
Oh, fuck it. Yes, go ahead. Come on. I got to know.
All right. I just have to set the stage quickly here. So before I was obviously married to my current wife, I had a long-term relationship with someone that you guys both knew, with
Yes.
Heather.
Yeah.
And that relationship started when I was a young man. I was 19. No, I was 19 years old. So we sort of grew up together in our formative years, of learning who we were. But her father was an amazing guy, and
I
was
knew him. He was
sort
a
of
nice guy.
yeah. He was sort of a second father to me. Not that my dad was lacking or anything, but he was just kind of another role model in my life that I looked up to. So he passed away. I want to say it's been riding up on a year. So, when he passed away, Heather obviously called me and she told me and wanted me to go to the funeral and speak at the funeral. So I did that. And his widow was there, who has always kind of been just this crazy. She's got her own addictions and issues, but she's always also just been kind of a miserable, crazy person that you had to kind of just put up with because you knew that he loved her and you'd be nice to her while you're there and then please just go away. So she loved me for whatever reason. And as Heather and I split apart and we broke up, obviously the relationship with her ended. I kept talking to her father, but I didn't have anything in common with her, but the fact that she has MS. She got diagnosed with MS maybe 6 years or so after I did. So we had that kind of a bond in common where like she had questions, she was scared, she wanted to know what it was all about and maybe some of the things that she would experience. So we had that kind of a bond, but not a real closeness. So I go to the funeral, speak at the funeral, do not talk to her at all at the funeral because she's really lost her mind. She lives out on her balcony in her house. I mean, she's really lost her mind.
Wow.
So I get up this morning and I have this long message from her.
Okay.
And I'm just going to read it to you because I want to know how to proceed.
Okay.
And I want you to know, I want to know, is it fucked up? All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Brewski, pay attention.
I'm paying attention.
Brewski, pay attention. Hi, Nick. You sure are looking great and appearing to be enjoying life to its fullest. So she sees me on Facebook. Okay. You deserve the best life has to offer more than about anyone I know. You've worked so hard throughout most of your life, so now it's time to relax and enjoy the benefits of your labors.
Oh
I'm
no.
46, dude.
Right.
Like, wow, why am I? Are you pushing me to retirement?
Wish it was that
or-
time. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I have also wanted to thank you for your beautiful words spoken at Greg's memorial service. I know they came from your heart. He loved you like a son. He never had, and you can never be replaced in my eyes either. You truly have a heart of gold, and that comes from my heart.
Oh boy.
There is something Greg taught you and said he would always be there for you in this regard. He also said that he would always be there for me if I got to the same point you were. You know what I'm talking about, Nick? MS. I was like,
What?
what are you talking? I mean, I get.
Is
what
she
you're
telling you?
talking
Is
about.
she telling you she has MS?
Oh, she's had MS. Okay.
Okay.
She's had MS for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right, keep going.
but
I don't know what she's building to here.
Okay.
Well, Nick, I've reached that point where my MS has hit the same point where you were with your MS. And Greg isn't here to help me through it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Giving myself injections. So when I first got MS, Steve, you probably remember this for sure, but I had to give myself a shot in the leg once a week. And it was a big fucking needle, dude. And it was daunting and kind of freaky.
Yeah.
And Greg was a diabetic. So, you know, he was used to poking himself and stuff like that. And he did kind of ease me through that whole period of like trying to figure out this new period of my life. So she says, giving myself injections. That time has arrived for me. And I remember how scared you were in the beginning. Greg helped you out quite a bit, it seems to me. Does my memory serve me correctly on that?
Oh.
Well, I'm scared too. The biggest difference is I'm totally alone. You had Greg, Heather, and of course your wonderful, loving family. I have absolutely no one. I
Oh,
feel so
boy.
lonely and isolated. It seems as though even when I try to order groceries from the store, that I somehow screw that up too. I miss Greg so much. I'm alone. I still cry every day and talk with him as though he's still here. You might think I'm crazy, but he came back for a while. You might think I'm crazy, but he came back for a while and spent more time with me.
Okay.
At first, I thought I was crazy, but he came back slowly so as not to scare me. I can't even for certain say how long he was here, but he made sure no one else was around. Although there were times people heard me talking with him through my bedroom door. Just thought it was typical morning type of stuff. He came to me one day in tears to tell me his time was up and that he had to go back. I never questioned where he had been or where he was going, but just enjoyed the special moment we were able to share. The very first thing I saw when he came back were his gentle hands extending the curtain for me from my outside deck to let me in the house. I get it. It's strange. I know. The very last thing I saw before he left once again were his gentle hands, this time petting the kitties, our babies who loved him so dearly, wanting to say goodbye to them as well. That pretty much sums up what a wonderful and loving man he was. I digressed a bit there. Let me get back on topic.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here just sort of already swirling because I'm like, I don't know if you're threatening me or if you're just sharing some odd morning times with me, but I'm going to say this in all peace and love. All right. And kindness. She's got a couple of screws loose. I'm not doubting that people going through emotional loss can have people come back, feel like people are back there with them. But there's things about this that I doubt. Does it sound crazy to you, first of all, at this point in this letter? Does this sound crazy to you, or am I affected by my pretense, my notion of who she is?
Right. This is a difficult one so far because you never know what tone people are writing it in. This could certainly be crazy ramblings, drunken ramblings. It can also be somebody just in deep pain.
Sure.
And I'm not going to discount somebody who says that, they spoke to somebody from the other side. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories about that. So it could be true. She could also be having a psychotic breakdown or just in such deep emotional distress that she believes this happened or has convinced herself it happens. I mean, it sounds more crazy than not, but she sounds like she's in a lot of pain. Whether that's crazy pain, drunken pain, morning pain, I don't know. So I guess I need to know where she's going with this.
Okay. Brewski, do you agree with that analysis or have
Well,
anything to
yeah,
add?
because it seemed like she was saying, well, Greg was there for you and he's not here for me, so now you owe me. That's kind of what I got from that. Like, you needed to step in and do for her what Greg did for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I started to wonder, do I need to play Mrs. Robinson behind the story? Like, is she hitting on you? Is there
No,
some-
I think it's more of a
it's nothing I would it's nothing I would discount. But
I'm just saying, when someone's like, I miss my husband and you always filled in for him and now I
Oh.
need you to, like, I was like,
Yes,
where's this
okay.
going exactly? Like,
I wasn't going there, but okay. That's unusual because I'm usually the first one at that.
well, I was going to say, some of your grunts, I thought that's what you were queuing up. You're like, oh,
I'm
no.
not going, I know. I mean,
No,
I'm
it
not,
just sounded to me like someone laying the guilt trip on there, like, hey, you owe me. And
okay.
Greg can't collect, so I'm collecting for him.
all right.
Okay.
Carry on.
Brewski. Well, let's see who is more in line with what's happening so far.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
So I'll just read the last line so we get back into where I left off.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking of you at this point is to repay the favor, so to speak, that Greg did for you, but isn't here to do for me now. Does that make sense? And I'm not asking you. That's what she wrote. Cupcakes will, of course, be served along with anything else you like.
Okay.
And
Now it's
Rachel,
crazy. Now it's crazy.
she is constantly, since Heather and I broke up, has tried to bribe me to come and see her, and always includes cupcakes. As I must have given off the impression as a fat guy that I love cupcakes, and I do, but it's not going to get me to your house. Okay. So I think that's where that comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Cupcakes, of course, will be served along with anything else you like. And Rachel is more and Rachel is more than welcome to join the party.
Oh boy.
I'll try to send this incognito so the rest of the world doesn't see it.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't go on a global podcast and read it to everyone.
Listen, I haven't said her name.
Okay. Sure.
So the rest of the world doesn't see it. If not, you or both of us can hide it from public view at any time. The best number to reach me at these days is probably yada, yada, yada. It was supposed to be a temporary number, but it's been so long that I get the feeling it isn't going to change.
Stick to the point, woman. Come on.
Please do call me this time. And the rest of this is all in caps.
Oh.
Please do call me this time. I'm not sure if you have me blocked or have been encouraged not to talk with me, but please, in Greg's honor, communicate with me about this.
Yeah. This sounds like an ex-girlfriend, not an ex-girlfriend's mother.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird, right?
And she's
Yeah,
offering
I mean,
cupcakes, so come on.
Yeah, there will be cupcakes served.
I don't understand what her point is. She wants you to come teach her how to inject herself?
Yes.
Hire
Which
a
will-
nurse, lady. Don't doctors' offices teach you this stuff?
I had a nurse come over and show me how to do it. Now, I had the moral support of Greg throughout this process, which I needed and appreciate to this day. That said, I was at a place in my life that I was part of this family.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And have you seen this woman in recent years socially?
I saw, maybe a year and a half ago or so, I saw her for, I went over and visited her because, no, it's been longer than that. It was pre-pandemic. I get confused. 3.5, 4 years ago, I went to, I heard she was not doing so well. So I popped in when Greg was still alive to say hello to her because he asked me to.
Yeah.
So Other than that, no. Since he's died, I saw her at the funeral and we did not talk at all. And then she's written to me a couple of times since he's passed away. And I have selfishly, I suppose, chose to not reply because I don't feel like I have much to offer. Or
this isn't your job to do, so that's understandable.
And that makes me, on one hand, it does make me feel bad, dude. Like I'm just struggling with the decision. Like I said to Rachel, I said, this is, she said, oh, this is so manipulative. Like,
Yes.
You're putting too much fucking thought into it. It's so manipulative. Do you agree?
Yes. No,
Yes.
this is definitely the scale is a little more on the crazy side, but it seems to probably be coming from her, grief and loss and all that stuff. But first of all, you should not be teaching somebody how to inject themselves. You're not a nurse or a doctor. And if you do that wrong, you can kill somebody. So it would be one thing. Here's what my suggestion would be: to refer her to a nurse or an at-home service that can come and teach her. Whether
Yes.
you join in on that meeting is debatable, but I would tell her that, Greg didn't teach me how to inject myself. He was there for some moral support. You need to learn that from a licensed medical professional so you don't
Absolutely.
do anything wrong.
Well, and I think that that's what she's asking me, is for the moral support side of it. Like, I'm not going to teach her anything. I haven't given myself a shot in years. These shots that she has to take, I know what they are. I had them.
Does she have no other friends in her life for moral support? Why is she reaching out to you?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, based off this letter, she said, I have no one. And I don't doubt that everyone has left her side, because she is a really manipulative, narcissist, kind of odd lady at this point.
Then no. Capital N-O here.
Nope.
She is definitely being manipulative and all that. So
Yep.
like anyone who reached out to you with MS, you would have a certain kinship to say, like, here's a good doctor to talk to, or a good nurse, or see if your doctor has a referral. However, I'm personally not comfortable with being, directly involved with something like this. It's just, and you could even blame it. Like it's triggering for me. It reminds me of past traumas, going through all of that. So
That's
it's
good.
nothing to do with you, but I wouldn't be comfortable, reliving that process again.
That's great advice. I
It
just
sure
wonder
is.
how do I reconcile it within myself? Like, do I actually owe this to Greg?
No, obviously not.
No.
Answer the question right now. Are you comfortable going over there with a nurse and showing this woman how to do this? Yes or no? Are you comfortable with that?
I mean, I would dread it. I would do it if it needed to be done, but I would dread it. And I wouldn't be comfortable, I suppose, but I would do it.
Yeah.
And-
I mean, you shouldn't be doing anything that you don't feel comfortable with.
And I would say this too, Nick. If you think about it, the way that you and also she described this guy Greg, he doesn't seem to me to be the type of person that would say, you owe this or you owe that. He would do something because it was the right thing to do and because he's a good guy and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So he would never expect you to go over there and do that, because that's not the kind of guy he was.
No. And like you said, dude, you were part of that family at that time. You were dating his daughter.
Yeah.
I don't think if you got MS now that he would, assuming he was live, obviously, that he would be coming over while you're in a relationship with Rachel now and being this.
For sure
like,
not.
So no.
Yeah.
No, this is more manipulative than anything else. And I would refer her on to an expert, tell her to consult her doctor, but I'm not comfortable with that.
See,
And
dude,
that's
and
that.
I appreciate that advice, because that does, I mean, you bring up some good points. The part that I have to figure out what I'm going to do is I'm usually not ignore type person where I just don't write back. And the relationship that she just wasn't getting the point. So I had to get to that point where I was just like, I just don't respond anymore. And hopefully she'll stop writing me at some point. Do I just do that, or do I at least write her back and say good luck? Because I know if I write back, she will continue to engage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, my advice would be to write back with what we kind of said. Like, I understand what you're going through. It's something that I can't personally be involved in because it brings up bad memories for me. Here's a doctor. I wish you all the best. If you need any more advice, reach out, and then leave it at that. If she starts kind of badgering you back, then I would just start ignoring that. You've answered her question. You've given sound advice. You've protected yourself as far as what you're emotionally comfortable with. And that's that. If she wants to start writing back and back and back, then no, I would just block her and ignore her. Because at that point,
Yeah.
she's clearly just being manipulative. If you tell someone I'm not comfortable doing something and then they keep pushing at you, then no, they're only worried about themselves and being, selfish, manipulative, and all that stuff. So if she can't respect that, then you don't have to worry about respecting, replying to her over and over.
Okay.
That's messed up though, dude. That's a big thing to have someone drop on you, especially you being in that situation where you understand, somebody with MS, injection issues and all that. That's kind of fucked up.
It's extra, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she came at me for a specific reason. She knew it would evoke something in me more than the average person, right?
Yep.
Yes.
No, that's messed up. Well, let us know how all that unfolds if she shows up on your front lawn with a box of syringes or whatever. I mean,
I don't think she. I don't think she can get out. I mean, I think she is.
man. She'll stand there with a box of syringes over her, playing some Peter Gabriel.
Say anything, part deuce.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll keep you
that's a
guys
lot.
abreast of the situation, as it were.
Yeah. All right. Well, and if anyone out there in podcast land has any input, feel free to find us. So.
Yes, and I appreciate the advice, gentlemen. I appreciate the open conversation for Vocal Minority Podcast Edition number
6.
Yep.
This was a good one. See, we like having
it was.
guests on the show, but we don't need to have guests on the show. So, this was a good example of covering a lot of news stories and whatnot. And as we've been mentioning, if you're any of the people that is hearing this on the podcast, online, you're in on the ground floor. So please reach out to us. Let us know who you are. And please spread it on your social media. Tell people we're trying to grow this thing. I've noticed on our analytics in the past week or two, I haven't seen any new areas pop up, but the people that are listening are continuing to listen. So we're holding the current audience. And that's a good thing, obviously. Some people may check out a new show and listen to it and be one and done, but we seem to be holding you guys. So help us spread the word, okay? We got passions to fulfill and bills to pay. So help spread the word and get vocal.
Right into the website, dude, thevocalminority.net. Let us know if there's any things you'd like us to cover, dude. We're always open to suggestions of what you guys want to hear about. And we love to communicate with the audience.
Absolutely. Interview people out there, or even if you just want to respond, a comment about something we've said, give us your number. We'll give you the Zoom link. You can call in. We'll get you on. That's what the show's all about. So
highly accessible, dude. The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. Brewski sitting down there looking fabulous as always, my friend.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right.
You guys too.
All right. Peace.